Welcome to the regular San Benito County Board of Supervisors meeting for June 24th, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Supervisor Velasquez.
Ready? Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the certificate of posting, please.
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great, that takes us to board announcements. Who would like to begin with board announcements? I'm going to start on Mindy, Supervisor Sotelo, Supervisor Zanger, Supervisor Velasquez, Supervisor Curro.
I'm just going to say how grateful I was to be able to attend the Flag Day and the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. It was a great event, and I thank all of the sponsors because it was done without using any county funds, is my understanding. It was a really great event, and it was great to see so many people out there and to see some of our longtime military personnel. I thank all of them for all of their years of support and service to our community and our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'll try to be brief. I have a few. The first one, I want to welcome our new CAO, Esperanza Colio Warren. Thank you very much for joining our community. We're just very excited to have Esperanza Colio Warren as the new CAO. She comes with a very, very strong background, previously administration in Imperial County, most recently city manager of Calexico. Very strong background in finances, management, project fruition, a lot of the things we need here in San Benito County. So welcome, CAO. Do you want to say a few words at all? Oh, just the...
Good morning, everybody. I just want to thank the Board of Supervisors for selecting me and giving me this great opportunity. And also, I want to thank the department heads and the staff for the welcoming. I have been meeting with them last week with some of the agencies, and I have a great group to work at the office. They're very nice people to me, so I appreciate that, especially coming from Imperial County, which is several miles away. Totally different weather. We have the second day that I was working here, it was 118 degrees in Imperial Valley compared to the 75 degrees that I was having here, so I feel so guilty. But I have great hopes. This community relates so much to Imperial Valley with a slight difference that is very green. We agricultural as well. And the weather is fantastic, but also is the people. And I feel very welcomed by everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Just briefly, I had two town halls, one in San Juan and one in Hollister. I just want to thank everybody for coming out to those. Thank the mayor of San Juan, the mayor of Hollister, and council members that joined me in those, Morris Lopez and Deanda. And I'm also working to schedule one in Aromas as well. I'd like to make it more of a tradition to get out into the district in these months when we get into the summer. And then other than that, I have a vacancy on the Community Action Board. I know there are several vacancies on the Community Action Board, so if you're interested in serving on the Community Action Board, please take a look at the website, or if you're District 2, you can always contact me as well. And then I also have the Monterey Bay Air Resources District. I serve on that board, and there's a vacancy for the advisory committee. If anybody's interested in that, please contact either myself or Monterey Bay Air Resources District directly, and we'll get you going. So appreciate that. So that would take us past board announcements to public comment, and this would be the opportunity to address the board on items not appearing on the agenda. Do we have any public comment for items not on the agenda?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press *9 or the raised hand icon. And in chambers, we'll start with Sandy Patterson.
Good morning, board, chair, audience members. My name is Sandy Patterson Jamark, and I've been in this county for 53 years. Just wanted to give you an update on the blue valve, Supervisor Zanger, that left you a message. It's now complete. I was really dismayed. Pipeline blew the other day on Sunday, and they weren't out there doing anything about it. We had to shut off water. Thank goodness we had well water for our animals. Otherwise, there's probably people that didn't. But when you have a $10 to $14 million budget, you better have a work crew out there doing the work and at least starting it. So they were out there yesterday and they worked until dark. They're covering the hole this morning. So, number one. Number two, the issue of the farm animals. I don't know any of you that are really experts on farm animals up there. Angela Curro, elections, Supervisor Ignacio is construction. Colin Kosmicki came down here from Minnesota to work on a newspaper. The only two that might have agriculture are Zanger and Sotelo. And you're gonna restrict farmland and how many animals somebody can have near farmland? Do you really think it's farm animals that contaminate the farm fields? You've never worked out in the fields. I have. It's not the farm animals, it's the workers in the field that defecate and urinate on the boxes. I've watched it. They're the ones that cause the E. coli. So this new restriction that you have with making people get rid of their animals, come on. That's just total incompetence. You better look into it more. And if you're gonna sit up there on that board, you better know each area that you're making decisions on. We're not playing God here, folks, and that's what you're trying to do. These people have farm animals and pets. What do you think you're doing? You need to do more investigation. I've worked in agriculture. I've worked in the fields. I've done topping garlic and picking tomatoes and green beans and cutting cots. All right, been there and done that, and I've watched it. I worked for one of the largest produce shippers and growers in the state, and that was Sun Harvest and Sun World in Salinas. So this is just that you make a decision, oh, well, this is what we're gonna do. You need to do more investigation before you do something like that. Another note, we did get paid. The checks went out the very next day for April and May for the county civil grand jury, because we hadn't been paid in 3 months. So I don't know why June's wasn't sent in by our treasurer, but thank you.
Thank you.
Next in chambers, Joseph Rivas.
Okay. Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. You've all received a packet from me that starts back in October 29, 2012. Everything in that packet is from board meetings from here that I found on the website. I'd like to draw your attention to page 1, which clearly outlines that one of the conditions of funding for the electrical vehicle charging station is that the charger must be accessible to the general public. On page 2, you'll see that the total cost of that project was $12,000, a relatively modest investment, especially when measured against the public benefit and current clean transportation goals. Fast forward to March 22nd, 2022, when Central Coast Community Energy, 3CE, gave a presentation right here reinforcing the importance of building out publicly accessible EV infrastructure across our region. This message aligns with what's stated again on page 17 of the packet. Chargers funded through this program must be publicly accessible at all times. This isn't a gray area, it was a condition of the funding. Your own resolution, number 2023-54, authorized staff to work with AMBAG to submit a $15 million grant proposal to the FHWA as part of the Regional Equitable EV Charging Project. Both AMBAG and the FHWA have public access requirements clearly stated in their grant criteria. Public means public, not limited use. Now, I understand that electricity costs are a valid concern. While it was difficult to get exact figures, PG&E typically charges government entities around 25 cents per kilowatt hour, with potential discounts for time of use or bulk charging, especially for EV stations. These rates are manageable. And here's the important fiscal context. On pages 25 and 27 of your packet, you'll see that in the fiscal year 23-24, the county's Energy Resource Management Department posted a surplus of $1.1 million. Even in the following year, 24-25, the department still reported a surplus of $13,100. These charges are not a financial drain. In fact, they operate within a profit-generating department. So now that these facts are in front of you, I respectfully request again
that the board directs staff to make these chargers publicly accessible and free to use. It's a tremendous service to county residents. It promotes cleaner air, and it supports the adoption of electric vehicles, something increasingly important for our community's health and sustainability. And let me be clear, if there's evidence or documentation showing that my understanding is incorrect, I sincerely welcome that dialogue. Thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next in chambers, Elia Salinas.
Thank you. Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Bienvenida to the new CAO. Welcome. I sincerely hope you're up to par with what's going on in San Benito County, what's going on with the employees. I come up here quite often and I warn the supervisors that there's a hostile work environment, and I hope that you have an open door policy, that you will be able to meet with the employees so that they can speak to you and it's confidential, and that you will be the buffer between the supervisors and the employees, because that is what has been missing. Employees have been getting direct orders, specifically from the chair, and that is not the way it works. You understand that, and I hope that you will be able to be that buffer, because these employees have been working under a lot of stress, have been working on the fact that if I don't do what I'm told, I'm going to lose my job. And that is not a way to work. We have a budget crisis. We have employees that are going to be looking for work somewhere else, on top of already this work environment that they're in. So please, I hope that you will be that individual, that we be able to have some dialogue with the employees, with the union, with department heads, because it is really, really important. One of the things that I do miss with Ray Espinoza not being here is he was that buffer. I personally like Ray Espinoza, but again, to the Board of Supervisors, you need to pull that Band-Aid and you need to get rid of that position at $300,000 a year. You got rid of the PIO because you don't have any funds, but yet you have $25,000 a month to pay for an individual that does absolutely no work other than take a phone call from Cosmicky and maybe find out how the day's going or what's the weather like over in Monterey. You're not getting $25,000 worth. San Benito County residents are not getting that money's worth from an individual who does not come to San Benito County and put any time into this. He is missed by some of the employees, again, like I say, but it's time to rip that Band-Aid. And I've seen how Supervisor Kosmicki, you've really been out there on social media ever since you got served with the recall notice. And I want to remind you that everything that you put out on social media so far has met with negative results for you. But more than anything, you are putting out information that the Board of Supervisors are doing something with regards to housing, and you're putting us in liability. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
All right, thank you very much. That would take us to the consent agenda. I will say we were gonna shoot for, I think around noon or shortly thereafter for a break today if we get to that point. Just wanna make that clear. And then with consent, are there any items that supervisors would like to pull from consent? Supervisor Curl?
I don't want to pull anything. I just want to thank the staff. I reached out to several people while I was out of town because I didn't have time prior. I just want to thank all the staff that I reached out to for getting back to me so quickly. It was very helpful, and talking to everyone while I was on the road. I can't thank you enough. It really helped for today.
Thank you. Anybody else? Do we have public comment for consent agenda?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press *9 or the raised hand icon. And in chambers, Elia.
Thank you. So I have with consent agenda item, I'm just going to continue to say, you keep continuing to just approve and approve and approve all these outside contractors. We're spending millions of dollars that are going out of San Benito County. We now have a new CAO, and I hope that the new CAO will come on board with the idea with sitting down together with some of these supervisors, and I would like to see an outside company come in and audit the contracts. Why do we continue to spend millions of dollars? Why don't we hire individuals? What is it that is not going on with San Benito County? And I understand behavioral health with regards to hospitalization and that we don't have those facilities here. However, we do have a lot of nonprofits for drug rehab here in San Benito County that should be utilized instead of sending the money outside of San Benito County. We have a lot of programs. We have also churches that help with stuff like that. So it's not necessary to have to go out and send the money out to somebody else, to some other county, another nonprofit organization, when we can have this money here in San Benito County and find out, are the numbers that are being told, actually the money amount is told to us. However, what we don't get is, for $500,000, I'm putting a number out there, for $500,000, how many patients are being seen for that amount of money? How many hours does it take to spend that amount of money? What kind of medication is being spent? What is the price on medication that is being spent for these individuals? A lot of the psychiatric evaluations and the psychiatric therapy sessions, they're on video. They're not even in person. So how much are we being billed, and are the individuals really getting the service that they get? I know that the information that I'm getting from individuals is that they're not getting that information. They're not getting the help. There's also a long list, and we have a new individual here, Dana, I think her name is. She's trying to get this going so that we can go ahead and help our San Benito County residents and stop spending money outside. But she needs help, and I hope that the new CAO and some kind of an outside auditor will come in and look at these contracts and help out with all the other departments. We have construction is always the same two companies for the roads. We got Chapin and we've got Granite Rock. Are we really, there are no other companies that are out there that are willing to do that? And let's concentrate on local companies doing the contracts. Thank you.
Next in chamber, Sandy Patterson.
Good morning. This is the issue of behavioral health. There's no contract with the San Benito County Sheriff's Department. There's only emergency when it comes to behavioral health for the juvenile hall, and it's outsourced to a company out of Morgan Hill. And the homeless shelter is supposed to be getting behavioral health, and they don't. The mental health problem is big in this county. When you have 32 personnel in the behavioral health department and you have a $25 million budget and you can't include those, it's not existent. They don't have an MOU for the jail. They have an outsourced for the juvenile hall. What's going on? You're only serving a specific amount of people. You've got 32 employees and a $25 million budget. Where's it going? Because these folks, the homeless shelter isn't seeing it. I've been on tours through there. We've talked to people. We know. People, you need to read the San Benito County Civil Grand Jury report. It's eye-opening. I just spent a year on the Civil Grand Jury. Go to my Facebook page. The link's there. Or if you want me to send it to you, PM me and send me your email. People need to know what's going on. There's a waste in money. When you say on your website that you're providing these services and they're not getting it, I'm sorry, there's a problem somewhere. Where's that money going? If it's not going to service the community and to service the people that need it, the mental health, the drug addictions. I've seen it firsthand. I worked for San Benito County Sheriff's Department. I was the first female hired back on September 1st, 1985. This county hasn't changed. There's backdoor deals, there's non-transparency. It has not changed, and it needs to. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
I'd entertain a motion to approve consent agenda, please. We have a first, we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you very much, everybody. That would take us to, well, we're gonna move things around because we have public hearing, can't start until 9:30. So it works out because we have two presentations right at the start of regular agenda. So what we'll do first is we'll move to regular agenda, and then once we get soon thereafter or at 9:30, we will move back to public hearing. So we'll start with item 3.1, which is approved certificate of recognition recognizing Andy Anderson on her retirement after working for the County of San Benito for 31 years. Andy, if you could come up and, well, actually, first, let's approve this, get a motion to approve the certificate. So do we have a motion to approve? First, we have a second.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor, roll call vote.
Supervisor Kozmicki?
Yes.
Supervisor Zanger?
Yes.
Supervisor Sotelo?
Yes.
Supervisor Curl?
Yes.
Supervisor Velasquez?
Yes.
Five oh vote, motion
Thank
passed.
you. This is a big deal to have somebody dedicated to our county for so long. Thank you so much, Andy Anderson. And I've asked Enrique, and I know he was prepared as well, to say a few words here since you've worked with Andy for so long and help put together, I think, this staff report. So Enrique Arreola.
Yeah. Thank you very much, members of the board and the public. Enrique Arriola. So, wow, 31 years, Andy. 31 years. I first met Andy 17 years ago when I first started working with the county. And one of the first things that really struck me about Andy is her genuine passion in helping individuals. She has a heart of gold, and I'm being truthfully honest. If you know Andy, for those that do know Andy, know that she is genuine, and what she does, she follows her heart in helping those that we need. During this last 17 years, she's been really involved in the community needs assessment. That's been in our annual reporting that's been submitted and accepted by the state. The first one of all the counties in the state for years that she's done a terrific job with those type of reports. She's very helpful. She even makes time to volunteer at the homeless shelter doing painting at different events. You may have seen her doing face painting also for kids. So she's very actively involved in this community. One of the things that she said, once she retires, she's still gonna continue her passion in helping people. So that's who she is. So if you know of Andy, she's one that is really genuine. Her heart is in the right place. And she's dedicated her life to community service, and dedicating 31 years to the county is just incredible. So anyways, I wanted to congratulate Andy, and we will miss you.
Andy, did you want to say a few words? I know we're putting you on the spot. Anything you want to say?
I'm just very thankful for the opportunity that I have had to serve our community, and I will continue to serve our community. I will be working with a nonprofit called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. If you're not familiar with them, they are a 501c that helps make beds for children that don't have a bed. So they do have a local chapter here in San Benito County that also serves North Monterey and South Santa Clara County. We currently have like 151 children on the waiting list to receive a bed. So that's what I'm going to be working with. I'll be their social media manager, and I'll continue doing face painting and paint parties and just enjoying traveling and spending time with my family. I just want to thank everyone through the years that I've had the opportunity to work with and for. Through workforce development, we've trained many young people coming in that have had no skills. And I started out as one of those, as an unwed teen parent going through a program similar to ours. So my heart is in it, and I've seen the benefit of it. And so that has always been my passion, because I grew up in a very troubled home. And so to be able to give back was what I was taught by my parents. And I'm just very thankful for the example that they set in serving not only our community, but our country through military service as well. And so I'm just happy that I've had the opportunity to grow and flourish in San Benito County. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Do we have public comment? Do we have any public comment? Public comment?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press star 9 or the raised hand icon. And I have no public comment.
Yeah, as many, oh yeah, go ahead.
Why did they have that table on the middle? They have that table on the middle.
Do we want to get the board in there for another?
Why did they have that table on the middle? It's no use.
I don't know. But they meet in here once in a while, but it's just rare.
Thanks again, Andy, for all your service. And that would take us to item 3.2. Of course, it's a big week here in San Benito County with the rodeo. And so we're here with our annual presentation from this year's rodeo queen, Francesca Donati. So come on up and let's hear about the rodeo. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Francesca Donati, and I'm excited and honored to be Miss San Benito Rodeo 2025.
And good morning, my name is Emily Drost. I am the past 2024 Miss San Benito Rodeo Queen. We are here this morning to invite you all to some of the Saddle Horse Show events we have coming up.
This past weekend, we kicked off our rodeo week with the downtown parade, figure 8 eliminations, the jackpot roping, and our membership barbecue.
For all the nights of our show, you can purchase tickets online on our website. The Saddle Horse Show Museum also encases our rich history. I highly encourage all of you to go out during the big weekend and just see what our rodeo really is about.
The Western Art and Equipment Show features booths where you're able to purchase art, jewelry, tack, and other unique items, and will be open Friday at 4 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m.
The Horse Show Rodeo will begin June 27th through the 29th. On Friday, June 27th, we will have our wine and beer stroll at 4:30 p.m. And then our regular performance will be at 6:30, where we will be having a public safety appreciation night. I highly encourage all of you to be there.
Saturday, our theme is Patriotic Day to honor our flag, our active service members, and our veterans. The halter horse classes start at 8:30 and will be followed by our Saddle Horse Show special rodeo at 10 a.m. The show will start at 1:30. That night, doors will open for our annual Cowboy Barbecue Dinner, Dance, and Auction at 5 p.m. For this, you can purchase tickets at the Saddle Horse office or from a director.
On June 29th will be our final day of the rodeo. It will begin at 1:30 p.m. where we will be showcasing our early Spanish heritage. So that will be our theme for the day.
For more information or if you have any questions, please visit our website or stop by the Saddle Horse office at Bellotto Park. I hope to see you all next weekend. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Do we have public comment?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press star 9 or the raised hand icon. And I have no public comments.
And do we have questions or comments from the board? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you so much for the ladies coming up here and doing the presentation and talking about this weekend. My son and I have been volunteering for the last 4 years. And we will be at the grandstands checking you in. Please remember, buy your tickets in advance. It makes it so much easier. We always have lots of struggles with people that think that they just get to walk into the grandstands, and we're kind of like the bouncers. So we look forward to seeing everybody out there. We'll be out there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I look forward to all the events.
Supervisor Velasquez?
I don't have any comments.
Zanger?
No, I'll just say thank you to them for being here, and I will be there this weekend as well. I won't be working, but I thank you for doing that, and I'll be there. I'll be there enjoying the show. So,
Supervisor Sotelo. Yeah, thank you for the presentation. It's always great to have that presentation every year. And even if you're not a rodeo person, we know all the rodeo people will be out there. But if you're looking for something to do with your family, something unique going on, it's a fun time. So, thank you again for that. And that would take us back to public hearing, just on time here. We have the first public hearing item is 3.1, which is, sorry, let me go back. The mosquito abatement item, which is to hold a public hearing for the mosquito and disease control assessment and adopt resolution approving the annual engineer's report, ordering the levy of assessment of $15.78 per unit mosquito and disease control assessment for 25-26. And we have Ken Griffin here. Hey, Ken.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Welcome, CAL, legal, public. So this item here before you today, unfortunately or fortunately, either way, we realized that the mosquito abatement was going to start to run a little bit of a deficit. With that being said, I have a presentation here, if I could run this. So this line one, the 15-16 assessment was $11.22. The annual increase per the capital CPI index, consumer price index, is allowed us 3% per year, which we have not raised since 15-16. There's my point there, has not been increased since 15-16. The assessment raise for last fiscal was $11.22. So finishing up this year's budget, we're realizing because of expenditures, mainly in materials, a little bit in staffing costs because they have risen, that we're going to run a slight deficit. Therefore, I have before you that we go with the recommended CPI index of 1578 per APN. That'll give us enough money to make sure that we don't run a deficit in the program for 25-26 and moving forward. So a single family equivalent benefit eligible to be raised up to $4.56. So everybody, rather than paying the same price they paid at $11.22 for the last 10 years, it would be raised to $15.32 on their parcel. That concludes my presentation. If we want to go to public comment, I'm here.
Thank you, Ken, so much. We'll open the public hearing. Do we have any public comments?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press *9 or the raised hand icon. And I have no public comment.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing. We'll bring it back to the board for questions and comments. Supervisor Sotelo? Supervisor Zanger? Supervisor Velasquez? Supervisor, go ahead.
Quick question. Maybe you don't know the answer, but why wasn't it raised each year at least 1% or 1.5%, so we don't have that big jump when these things happen?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Supervisor Velasquez. We just didn't see the need to raise it because we were running very much with a little bit of a surplus in the program every year.
And this year it just jumped that much where it...
Yes, so 24-25 projections were to put it at a slight deficit, and then looking forward, budgetizing the 25-26, the deficit would only grow.
Thank you.
Anything further? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the order of the levy of the assessment at rate 1578 per mosquito and disease control assessment based on the engineer's report. Do we have a motion?
moved as stated.
You have a second? A second. All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Kosmicki?
Yes.
Supervisor Zanger?
Yes.
Supervisor Sotelo?
Yes.
Supervisor Curl?
Yes.
Supervisor Velasquez?
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion passes.
Thank you very much. And that would take us to item 2.2. This is proposes the San Benito County Board of Supervisors consider an appeal of the Planning Commission's April 16th decision challenging the adoption of Planning Commission resolution, denying the appeal and upholding the Planning Commission's denial of a conditional use permit for a proposed wireless telecommunications facility at 358 Sealy Avenue. The appeal asserts errors related to federal preemption, zoning compliance, variance standards, and the prohibition of wireless service. We have our planning staff here, and we also have the appellant here, and the appellant would have 10 minutes to provide your case, and if you want to split it up between an opening and a rebuttal, I've been advised by our legal counsel that that would be your option as well.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chair, members of the board. My name is Hannah Boris with Wireless Policy Group, and I'm speaking today on behalf of the applicant Vertical Bridge and the co-applicant T-Mobile. We respectfully defer to the appeal application and presentation materials previously submitted into the record. The presentation was submitted in advance for the board's review and consideration. We do not intend to walk through it live today. Based on the information provided in the record, we respectfully request that the board reverse the Planning Commission's decision and approve the appeal. We appreciate the opportunity to participate in the process and would like to thank project planner Jonathan Olivas and county staff for their assistance with the application, and would like to thank the board for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I was going to get my water, but I'm going to go right to public hearing. So that would take us to the public hearing. I know we have some public comments, I believe. So we'll open the public hearing and we'll start with the public comments.
We also have a presentation from staff.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize for that. Yeah, we should have done that. So presentation before the public comments. We'll pause the public hearing.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and Board of Supervisors. I'm Jonathan Olivas, Associate Planner with San Benito County, and I'm going to present PLN 250040, the appeal of the denial of the Planning Commission decision on the 16th of April. So as you can see on the map, the project site is located at 358 Sealy Avenue, approximately 9 miles northwest of San Juan Bautista and approximately 3/4 of a mile southeast of Central Aromas. The 2.36 acre site is in a rural area situated between existing urban and agricultural land. This image shows the project site facing north from Sealy Avenue, approximately at 320 Sealy Avenue, with an existing image in the bottom right corner, and the site with the tower in the larger picture on the left. That's the close-up. And this image shows the proposed project site at 358 Sealy Avenue, as it is currently without the tower. The proposed facility would include up to 12 panel antennas, 6 remote radios units, 2-foot microwave dish, a GPS antenna, and all equipment would be mounted at approximately 81 feet centerline, with the antenna tips reaching 85 feet. Associated ground-mounted equipment would be placed at the base of the monopine. And a public hearing was held on March 19th, 2025, where the commission received public input and reviewed the proposal. On April 16th, 2025, the Planning Commission adopted a resolution denying the project. The denial was based on several key findings. First, the project was found to be inconsistent with the San Benito County General Plan, particularly policies related to land use compatibility and community character. Second, the facility did not comply with applicable zoning requirements. Third, the applicant did not meet the findings necessary to approve a conditional use permit or a variance. Additionally, the commission found that the project would result in adverse impacts to public health, safety, and welfare. These concerns were primarily due to the facility's close proximity to sensitive receptors, including nearby residences and a licensed daycare. Furthermore, the Planning Commission found that the applicant failed to adequately demonstrate the alternative sites or co-location opportunities that were truly feasible, which is a necessary component of justifying this particular location and a key component to justifying a variance. The image on the right shows the current coverage area and gap without the proposed tower. The blue dot indicates the proposed tower location, and then the image to the left is the coverage as it would be represented with the tower. Again, the blue dot is the tower location itself. Following the Planning Commission's denial of the proposed wireless facility on April 16, 2025, the applicant filed an appeal outlining several grounds for contesting that decision. This slide summarizes these key assertions. First, they argue the lack of substantial evidence and federal preemption, stating that the denial relied on unsupported findings, particularly health-related concerns, which they claim are preempted under the Telecommunications Act. Second, under zoning compliance and variance justification, the appellants assert that the project meets all applicable zoning standards and that the required findings for variance under County Code Section 7.11.004H were satisfied. Third, they raised the issue of RF emissions preemption, maintaining that any denial based on perceived health risks from radio frequency emissions is unlawful under federal law. Fourth, with respect to the setback requirements, the appellants argued that the nearby daycare is not legally classified as a school, and therefore the project complies with county setback standards. On the design and compatibility side, they argue that the facility's stealth monopine design, photo simulations, and lack of scenic resources in the area support the finding of aesthetics and compatibility. Regarding alternatives, the appellants state that they performed a good faith, technically supported analysis showing that no feasible alternatives existed or co-location opportunities exist. They also claim that the county misapplied variance criteria, noting that the applicable standard only requires good faith efforts and not a showing of technological infeasibility and not an exhaustive review of all possible alternatives. Lastly, they allege that the denial results in an effective prohibition of service as it creates a coverage gap and fails the least intrusive means test under the Ninth Circuit case law. These assertions form the basis for the appeal now before you for consideration. This slide summarizes the county's responses to the appellant's assertions as detailed in the resolution should the board choose to adopt the resolution today, reinforcing the Planning Commission's findings and supporting denial of the project. First, on federal preemption, the denial was not based on radio frequency emissions. Rather, the decision was grounded in legitimate local considerations, including aesthetics, land use compatibility, and general plan consistency. These are areas where local governments retain discretion under federal law. Second, regarding zoning and variance compliance, the facility does not comply with the general plan or county code. The applicant did not meet the required variance findings and failed to show that the proposed site was the least intrusive or that denial would effectively prohibit service. Third, while RF emissions were raised by members of the public, these concerns were not part of the commission's actual decision-making and were not cited in the adopted findings. Fourth, on the issue of daycare proximity, the nearby facility is a state-licensed daycare facility as defined by county code. Therefore, it was appropriate for the commission to consider legitimate compatibility concerns raised under General Plan Policy Land Use 7.10 and County Code Section 25.01.002. Fifth, addressing aesthetic impacts, the stealth monopine design did not adequately mitigate visual impacts. The proposed structure was incompatible with the surrounding environment, which includes open space, low-rise development, and nearby scenic and conservation easements. Lastly, on alternative site analysis, the Planning Commission found that the applicant's analysis lacked both detail and documentation. There was no compelling evidence that co-location or higher priority sites were pursued. The appellant has not demonstrated any error on the part of the commission. The denial was supported by substantial evidence and reflects a reasonable exercise of the county's discretionary land use authority. Under CEQA, section 15270A, this project will be statutorily exempt as it is denied. Staff recommends that the Board of Supervisors take the following action: receive public comment, adopt the resolution to deny the appeal, PLN 250040, and uphold the denial by the Planning Commission on April 16, 2025. It is worth noting that if the board wishes to approve the appeal, then the board must make all of the findings discussed here today. If the board sees that it cannot make any one specific finding out of the findings discussed here today, then it has not found sufficient evidence to overturn the Planning Commission's decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That would take us to the public hearing. We'll open the public hearing. We have public comments.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press *9 or the raised hand icon. And in chambers, we'll start with Chris Magradura.
Good morning, Chris Madruga Aromas. The applicants claim the 500-foot setback requirement is unenforceable, which does not reflect current legal decisions. Local governments retain the authority to establish zoning regulations for their communities, their needs and concerns. Case law supports this. T-Mobile versus the town of Ramapo. The court upheld the locality's rights to impose stricter setbacks in the 1-to-1 ratio, confirming they may adopt more protective regulations with a rational basis. Vertical Bridge versus Brawley also supports principle that local governments can impose stricter requirements. In their response letter, they disputed the impact of towers on property values, citing a 2004 study that shows only a 2% decrease. I appreciate that the applicant acknowledged property values are impacted from nearby cell towers. We disagree on the extent. Some studies show up to double-digit reductions in property value. Regardless, the county variance code clearly states in the findings sections that a variance must not be materially injurious to persons or property in the vicinity. Even a 2% reduction on 9 homes worth nearly $1 million is material injury to the owners. On that basis alone, the variance denial is warranted. The applicant states in their online map that they have bad coverage, but in their online map that's before you, they show the entire area in 5G coverage. They state this is for indoors and out, and they have a disclaimer. But right on the little yellow bottom part, you can see where they state it's for outdoors only, but it's for indoors and out. At the first meeting, a commissioner asked about the tower's distance to the home at the site. It's only about 70 feet, according to Google Maps, well within the 1-to-1 ratio that the applicant claims is standard for fall protection. I don't know how that was not disclosed by them. They have shown a pattern lacking transparent disclosure. In their alternate site search, 3 of the 5 sites were well below the elevation they claimed they needed. This suggests they prioritize a person in financial distress as shown in public records over a genuine good faith search. Their documents also omit key perspectives, views from downtown Aromas, Carpinteria, and Carr Avenue of the ridgeline, also renderings showing all the towers they plan to co-locate. There's 2 extra pads on the site. I urge the board to uphold the denial, not just on technical grounds, but because the community deserves honesty, transparency, and a responsible development partner. This project mainly benefits T-Mobile. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next in chambers, Louise Combs.
Good morning, members of the board and Chair Kosmicki. I'm Louise Coombs, and my residence is immediately adjacent to the site of this proposed cell tower location. I would like to respectfully urge the supervisors to uphold the unanimous decision of the planning commissioners for the denial of the variance to the protective setback in the ordinance T25-711-6. Of the 9 dwellings within the 500-foot setback from the proposed site of installation, only 1 homeowner was engaged and informed of this plan. No consideration has been shown to the residents of the other 8 homes, with no information provided until notification from the planning office arrived just a few days before it was brought before the Planning Commission in April 2025. The provision of cellular technology should not be at the personal expense of the residents of the 8 other homes within the setback due to safety risks, environmental incompatibility, and material damage. The applicant's presentation shows nominal due diligence to find an alternative site once a willing resident was found. If mounting cell towers on local water tanks is not a viable option, the Aromas Water District owns land around the water tanks that could comfortably contain a 60-foot by 26-foot concrete structure, but they were never even consulted. There are numerous uninhabited locations along the ridgeline owned by Granite Rock. They were not even considered. Sites presented by the applicant as potential alternatives are in downtown Aromas, well below the 500 to 600 foot elevation that the applicant stated was necessary for signal transmission, so questionable as alternative sites. The suggestion of no significant visual impact due to surrounding screening is not accurate, as the site is along the ridgeline and can be seen for miles around. It will soon no longer be screened as the removal of highly flammable eucalyptus trees in this Tier 2 fire zone progresses by several of its neighbors. The tower would be directly in line of sight of 2 scenic easements of properties adjacent to the site. Scenic easements are a type of conservation easement and designed as legal safeguards to prevent development that would negatively impact the visual appeal of the protected view. Whilst the FCC guidelines stipulates that potential health effects cannot be grounds for denial of such a variance, these guidelines have not been updated for 29 years. Technology and understanding of the health effects has radically altered since 1996, and this technology is still too new for anyone to truly understand the long-term effects of constant 24/7, 365 exposure. The ordinance allows for the county to direct the applicant to relocate the facility, resubmit a revised proposal for further consideration. I appeal to the supervisors to contemplate whether they would be comfortable living or purchasing a property in such close proximity, and respectfully encourage the supervisors to uphold the Planning Commission's denial of this current location in favor of a more suitable site. Thank you.
And next in chambers, Jonah O'Brien.
Morning, Supervisors. Can you hear me? My name's Joe. I live at 348 Celia Ave, just adjacent, abutting the property at 358 Downhill. The 1,000-foot-long easement shown within the plan and the property map is my sole means of ingress and egress from the property. Despite that, when I raised concerns before the commission about stormwater control, maintenance, and deterioration, I was told it's not my responsibility. I must firmly object. The claim is both inaccurate and dismissive. Annotated law outlines all who enjoy the use of an easement are financially responsible for their impact and future maintenance. Meanwhile, the applicant proposes introducing frequent commercial traffic, vehicles weighing up to 80,000 pounds onto a narrow, steep, and structurally compromised driveway. This will accelerate existing degradation and place an undue financial and logistical burden on me, the adjoining property owner. The road consists of a thin quarter-inch layer of 50-year-old chip seal laid over raw sand on a 14% grade. It was never engineered for this scale or type of use. The proposal imposes commercial impacts on a private substandard easement without any binding plan for preservation, improvement, or compensation. Furthermore, water runoff management as currently proposed is grossly inadequate. A 60-foot concrete swale ending in a 3x3 gravel pit placed on a hill with a 1-to-1 slope does not constitute proper stormwater containment. A retention pond is infeasible in this topography. Containment runoff will, without question, breach the property line and negatively impact my organic avocado orchard a mere 100 feet downhill from the proposed site. I formally request that a written binding plan be developed to ensure that 1, my access to the easement is maintained and protected. 2, my property is independently evaluated for impact, those impacts eliminated. 3, all financial and physical burdens are equitably addressed. I urge the board to conduct a site visit and witness firsthand the impracticality and inherent risk of this proposal. The scale of this facility is incompatible with the physical environmental realities of the location. The proposal tries to force a massive commercial facility into an unsuitable and dangerous location. It's like forcing a 12-inch foot into a 4-inch shoe. Foolish, damaging, and unsustainable. If the driveway becomes impassable, emergency vehicles may not be able to reach my home. In a Tier 2 fire zone, that could mean total loss, not just of property, but of life. Consequently, home insurance will not cover a loss due to failure to maintain suitable access for fire response. If 358's property or my own cannot be defended in the event of a voracious fire associated with telecom towers, it could put the entire Tier 2 fire zone at risk. This proposal disregards public safety, property rights, and environmental integrity. I ask the Commission's finding to reject be upheld, and also the Board of Supervisors to reject the applicant's proposal as it's presently conceived.
Thank you. Next in chambers, David Combs.
Hi, good morning. My name is David Coombs. I'm at 320 Seeley Avenue, which is directly next door to this proposed site. We will be staring straight down this one, 90-foot tower from our deck. I mean, this is not something we want to see from our house. Interesting enough, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is one of the executive departments of the US federal government, classifies a cell tower as a hazard and a nuisance, requiring appraisers to make adjustments to the value of single-family resident properties due to the effect of marketability. Also, interestingly, if a property lies within the fall zone of the tower, which this one does, they can deny a mortgage. So this house basically becomes unpurchasable in the future. Material harm to the homeowners, numerous studies. Per Wireless Equity, 94% people surveyed said that a nearby cell tower would negatively impact their interest in a property and or would negatively impact the price. Research from the Environmental Health Trust Fund says that cell towers, 5G powered power lines and electric substations near homes can drop property values by up to 30%. Realtor magazine, increasing numbers of people don't want to live near cell towers. In some areas with new towers, property values have decreased by up to 20%. AntennaSearch.com shows there are 34 towers within a 3-mile radius of Aromas. How come these are not options for co-location if they're okay to be used as they currently are? For the material damage, imagine you're house hunting. You see a nice house, you go look at it, you turn the corner, bang, cell tower right in front of you. You going to want to buy that property? Or was your first reaction, hell no, I'm not living next to that thing? Would you want your deck to be overshadowed by a cell tower, looking at that, as you sit on your deck with your coffee? No, you wouldn't. House prices for the dwellings currently within the 500 setback start at $900,000 and go up. A cell tower in the proposed location will significantly adversely affect the value of the property at the proposed location. This will then adversely affect the realtor comps in the area, which will directly adversely affect all property values in the vicinity by 10 to 20%. This is significant material damage to the homeowners. From the data that the applicants provide on their coverage map, together with the alternative technologies, that we see no justification for construction of this tower and no reason to approve a request for a waiver. My wife and I are both T-Mobile customers. We've got perfect reception. There's no gap. There will be significant material damage to homeowners' properties within this setback. There is clear risk of additional development on the site with additional antennas and towers, further degrading property prices. We would respectfully urge the Board of Supervisors to support the unanimous decision from the Planning Commission and the recommendations from the staff report and deny this request for variance. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next in chambers, Leslie Austin.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Leslie Austin, and I live also directly next to the proposed tower site. You can see the corner of my garage in one of the applicant's appeal photos. What you can't see is that the site sits atop a ridgeline, a high-risk Tier 2 fire hazard severity zone as designated by CAL FIRE. The compound would be built at the end of a narrow shared driveway with homes below it on both Sealy and Carr Avenues. Further up, more homes line Sealy, a one-way in, one-way out road with no alternative evacuation. If a fire starts at the compound, depending on the wind, the residents on Sealy could be trapped. To be clear, for me, this isn't about opposing cell towers. Reliable wireless service is essential. But location? Site-specific locations matter, and in high-risk fire zones, co-location of already existing towers should be the rule, not the exception. Residents here have already spent, as you've heard, thousands of dollars clearing brush and hardening our homes over the last 3 years. Close to $50,000 of eucalyptus trees have been removed right next to this site. But this compound introduces ignition risks, especially once it's built out with backup power and no further county oversight. Insurance companies are already pulling out of areas like ours. Premiums are skyrocketing. Coverage is disappearing. We as residents are doing our part. The county should do the same, and so should T-Mobile. Governor Newsom's executive orders N525 and N1325, both introduced within the last year, maybe 18 months, urge local governments to avoid siting new infrastructure in fire-prone zones when alternatives exist and to prioritize evacuation access. This project does the opposite. Aromas has a population of about 2,500 people, including families, seniors, and many children. Most already have reliable service. I'm sure there are gaps, but they affect few. It's not worth increasing wildfire risk for an entire neighborhood to close a marginal coverage gap, especially when the applicant has other, safer siding options. This compound isn't a necessity, it's a choice, and it's the wrong one. I urge you to uphold the Planning Commission's unanimous denial. Thank you very much.
Next in chambers, Nancy Madruga.
Hello. We are shortly below the area. One thing in their proposal, they kept using the word road. It's not a road, it's a private driveway. And it's not just a private driveway, it's a split private driveway. There's a divider that goes almost all the way up the middle of it. Driveway. Our neighbors below us have a lot of parties. Their guests have to park on the side of the road, and the only logical way for them to get out is to make turnarounds in our literal driveways. I can't imagine what it's gonna take to put this up there and to maintain it. The left-hand side of the driveway has been maintained by the person wanting to do this without any, she hasn't repaired any part of that driveway. Our driveway on our side has been split by only 2 families, and there's 4 families that live there. We have spent so much money paving that road. There is no way these vehicles are gonna be able to come up our driveway without using our side as well. Again, we are not, every single one of our neighbors, we are not pulling the not in my backyard. We just need them to find a bigger backyard, because this is just realistically not feasible to do in our area. It's just so stressful. It's just so incomparable to what they want to put up there compared to where it's going. I urge you to uphold the Planning Commission's unanimous denial. Thank you.
And that concludes public comment.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out, sharing concerns. Thank you to the appellant. And the appellant, you would have, if you would like a few minutes to respond, our legal counsel has told me that that's your legal right. So if you'd like to, please.
No, nobody raised their hand or anything online on Zoom.
Thank you. Again, Hannah Boris with Wireless Policy Group for the record. We've already submitted written responses to the majority of the public comments here today. So we would respectfully, just reference those written comments that are currently in the record. And just one comment, I guess that was not in our previous response regarding the road or the access road or driveway. The access driveway is part of the subject property with a recorded easement, allowing other lot owners to use it. The recorded plat confirms these access rights, but there's no record of a separate recorded maintenance agreement that would impose additional obligations on the property owner. We did not believe a performance bond is necessary, given the lack of recorded maintenance agreement. We're open to considering one if a formal obligation is identified, subject to its terms and conditions as a condition of approval. Beyond that, I don't believe I have any further comments. Just say that we respectfully maintain that the record supports approval of the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything further, legal counsel?
Yes, the board should consider all the comments and accept them as evidence in the public hearing, and also all the documents submitted with the agenda packet. So that, and then depending on the outcome, if the board ultimately upholds the denial of the Planning Commission, should be referred to staff for preparation of findings in support of that decision, or otherwise.
Thank you. we'll bring it back to the board for questions and comments. Supervisor Curro, did you want to start?
I want to start with, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure this is the item, but the name of the company has not been included. I did meet with, I need to disclose that I met with David Witkowski, which is from OKU Solutions. I also have worked with him on Monterey Bay Economic Partnerships. That's just a disclosure, just so that the board is aware. I think all of the comments from all of the residents, it's very informative and it helps paint the real picture. So thank you for all of your comments. I have no questions at this time.
Supervisor Velasquez?
Questions?
Supervisor Zanger?
No questions. But I'll just give some comments right now, I guess. So I'll just say right off the bat, I'm not interested in overturning the Planning Commission's decision. I want to uphold their decision and deny the appeal. I will say, listing all the public comment, there was a comment or at least one, maybe a couple, about how we don't, we're not trying to be NIMBYs or we're not in my backyard. I'll just say, just for the record, we're talking about people's homes. We're talking about your home. You actually do have a valid concern. You actually do have a right to, have a say in what is at your home, what is right next to you. So I just want to put that out there because I know I hear that a lot, and I just want people, I want people to get the idea that they have no say in anything that happens right around them, because I do feel like they do have a right to have an opinion on what's going on at their home and near their home. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Sotelo. Thank you. I share concerns from the residents and see valid and legally defensible concerns here. The bottom line here is the location. The location does matter. I believe that there is no obligation to approve the variance of the county setbacks and don't see that there were necessary steps taken to fully analyze the alternative sites. I also have my eyes open today about wildfire concerns I think should be looked at as well. So agree with the Planning Commission decision, support a denial of the appeal and upholding the Planning Commission's decision, and I would entertain a motion if there is one. With regard to that, along with referring, if there is a motion, we need to refer, as County Council said, we need to refer to staff for preparations of findings and support or deny.
I'd be happy to make the motion. I'm going to try to get it right here. So I would make a motion to support the Planning Commission's denial of the applicant's project and I guess include the comments and staff report as evidence to support the denial of the appeal.
Quickly through the chair, the current resolution before you does support upholding the Planning Commission's decision.
So upholding the Planning Commission's decision, that would be the motion, to uphold the Planning Commission's decision.
And to prepare, direct staff to prepare findings and set a specific date to come back with those findings.
They're already in the resolution you have.
Do we need further findings, County Council? Do we need, I know there were findings off the Planning Commission.
We would like to look at the findings and make sure that the board's decision is supported by legally supportable findings.
I think
and that's not stating that what's before you is not legally supportable, but you are taking a separate action and you are denying the appeal by upholding the Planning Commission, and you should have findings that support that decision.
Great. You okay with that?
Yeah, what the lawyer said, yes.
For additional analysis of bringing back further findings that are legally defensible. So we have a first, we have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, roll call vote.
Supervisor Kosmicki,
Yes.
Supervisor Zanger,
Yes.
Supervisor Sotelo, Supervisor Curro,
Yes.
Supervisor Velasquez.
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion passes.
Thank you very much. That would take us to our regular agenda again. So we would be picking up where we left off, which is item 3.3, receive presentation and review amendments to procedures for the transaction of business for planning commissioners and adopt resolution adopting amendments.
Okay, perfect. Hello, Supervisors, Chair, good to see you. CIO Esperanza, it's lovely to meet you. My name is Stephanie Reck. I'm a senior planner with the County of San Benito. You normally see me up here talking about commercial cannabis or affordable housing, but today, since I am the clerk of the Planning Commission, I'm going to review the procedures with you. Before I get started, I just want to point out that the procedures presented for you today are much like the San Benito County Administrative Manual for board items, procedures, and deadlines. The amendments presented today are procedural only, and they are intended to help staff and commissioners effectively and efficiently run the meetings. This does not permit any type of authority, as it is not legal text that would be adopted into our code. The last amendment to this text was adopted by the Planning Commission in 2023, and so the following revisions have been made. I'm going to scroll for you here. Let me see, I can probably make this a little bit bigger for you as well. There we go. So we just first have a few minor changes in number 3 and number 4. We just updated the Director of Planning and Building to remove inspection services because that's not a title we actually use for Abraham. And we don't use the term secretary either. We use the term clerk, so it's been updated in our procedures. Under number 5, this was a new addition for teleconference procedures. This would allow staff to move forward with a meeting if there was a malfunction due to Zoom or CMAP. We had an issue a few weeks ago where we started our meeting over an hour late because we didn't have CMAP to support us. Number 6, again, is just a minor update to the text language. Here in number 7, we have designated that the chair and the director would review items on our packet prior to packet publishing, much like the chair agenda review schedule. And again, under number, this is just renumbering because we added number 7 in. And let's get down to, I believe, number 12 is our next. So just minor amendments here. We don't tape record our meetings anymore, so that was removed. We removed the term catcalling because some of our commissioners didn't appreciate that. The main update here is to item G. Sorry. And so basically you'll see here is we've just amended this text to be more clear and concise. So it's about the practice of civility and decorum and duplicating of text during public comment. And then lastly, we added number 13, which says it allows the chair to cancel any regular meeting if needed and then fix another time for a special meeting to recoup that. And then, sorry, I misspoke. Here's our last amendment here, number 14. What we've added in here was that any amendments to these procedures would both be approved by the Planning Commission and then come to the board for approval. So this is technically the first time you're seeing these procedures because they haven't required board approval in the past, but we went ahead and added that in. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm here.
Thank you so much. We'll go to public comment.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press star 9 or the raised hand icon. I have no public comment.
Thank you very much. We'll bring it back to the board for questions and comments. Questions? Hearing none? None? Anything? I had one, the item about agenda review. I just want to add some clarity to that and make sure that my District 2 Planning Commissioner Richway is currently the chair, so I know he does a good job, and but I just want to make sure there isn't a level of discretion for the chair to intentionally delay items. So I just, where would that, if the chair says, no, I don't want this on the agenda, but it's a project, for instance, or something that legally has the right to come, I just want to make sure that there's clarity, and if not, then we may have to add something with regard to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Abraham, do you want to respond to that? I think what we could probably do is add into number 7 that any item, like urgency item, maybe would not be moved if needed. But what are your thoughts, Abraham?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Yeah, definitely we can add language to that effect, indicating that projects should continue to move forward to respond to the legal requirements of the permitting of the discretionary process.
Okay. That would just be a request of mine. Just to, I'm not saying that and putting anybody on the spot, saying anyone's going to do that. I just think as a protective measure to make sure items move along in the proper way. Just be one suggestion. Other than that, anything further? I'd entertain a motion for approval with giving staff direction to add language that covers essentially those bases of moving these items along. first?
Yeah, move to stated.
Is there a second? All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Kosmicki,
Yes.
Supervisor Zinger,
Yes.
Supervisor Sotelo,
Yes.
Supervisor Curro,
Yes.
Supervisor Velasquez.
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion passes.
Thank you very much. Do we want to take a 5-minute break? We'll do that. 5-minute break.
Thank you, supervisors.
Thank you. We're back in our meeting. Thank you very much. So we would be picking up where we left off. So that would be item 3.4, accept and discuss presentation regarding capital improvement projects. And we have Steve Loop. Thank you, Steve.
Good morning, Chair and Board of Supervisors. Steve Loop, Public Works Administrator. So what we wanted to kind of present today for the benefit of the board and members of the public is just kind of a recap of capital facilities projects that our team has been working on during the past year. We talk a lot about roads, but there's a whole lot of other things that go on with buildings and facilities. And as a little bit of a recap, when I started 4 years ago, I think the first year in the capital facilities group, we completed 3 projects for the whole year. And now I think this year, with the help of 2 of my great teammates here, which I'll introduce in a sec, I think they've completed 15 projects and they have ongoing another dozen or so. So quite a big jump in production. And so behind the scenes, we have our capital project manager, Jesus Saavedra, and then today to present kind of a highlight of some of the projects we finished. We're not going to go through all of them, but just to highlight some. We have Salman Kazmi, who is our capital program manager. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, Chair, members of the public, legal, and CEO. I'm Salman Kazmi, Capital Program Manager, Public Works Department, and I'm here to provide updates on our capital projects, including those that are completed in fiscal year 24-25, as well as ongoing projects. So the capital department oversees capital projects for approximately 20 county facilities. The vital work includes the renovation, repair, expansion, and improvement of the building structure, as well as the maintenance or replacement of the building equipment, including HVAC system, electrical, plumbing, fire sprinkler systems, and general building upgrades. The objective is to prolong the lifespan of the structures, increase their value, enhance their capabilities, ensure that the facility meets standards, are in satisfactory condition, and are environmentally friendly. So for the fiscal year 24-25, the board approved 55 capital projects, including general and non-general fund CIP projects. We were able to complete 15 projects in the previous fiscal year. The completed projects include, and I can go one by one, and I can also highlight the details for each project. Homeless shelter, building exterior improvement, It includes includes patio upgrade, new concrete. So the concrete not only addresses the issue with the uneven surface, but also fixes the slope issue at the entrance of the community service development building. The second one is the behavioral health department partition walls. The improvement includes converting the case management room into 2 offices. The total area was approximately 970 square feet, which is converted into 2 separate rooms. Assessor's tax collector office improvement. Improvement includes an upgrade of the reception area, floor upgrades, and in several areas, painting, bathroom upgrades, and security system, which includes panic system, additional cameras, and fence. And I can definitely go to this pictures of some of the projects that we completed. Public Works yard building kitchen upgrade. So the kitchen floor and portion of the wall were badly damaged due to the water leak, which also caused damage to the kitchen counter and cabinets. We have upgraded the kitchen cabinets, countertop, and flooring, and painted the walls. Veterans Park bathrooms remodel upgrade include the interior and exterior remodel of the Veterans Park South bathrooms. UC Ag building interior remodel. The UC Ag shared building subfloor was damaged, and we replaced it with the new one. Also performed general upgrades, including rewiring of the low voltage. Ag building garage remodel. Ag department purchased a large truck a few years ago, but we have encountered some challenges with the parking, and we upgraded the garage. RMA drinking fountain. Integrated waste management department secured the grant and purchased the drinking fountain. The CIP team assisted with the design and build process. It is now installed in the RMA building. Juvenile hall tenant improvement phase 2 project. Last year, fiscal year 23-24, we completed phase 1, and this year we completed phase 2. Phase 1 included the flooring and painting of the building interior. Phase 2 includes the upgrade of the security system, new cameras, and electrical upgrades. Jail garden build project. It includes a landscape upgrade for the jail garden. HEAP transitional housing phase 1. So for phase 1, and I can talk about that project during our when I will be on the in progress project slide. But for phase 1 project, we built 5 units, and interior and exterior of the 5 unit is completed 100%. Currently, we are waiting on the PG&E final connection that will be connected with the phase 2 once the phase 2 units are completed. But for phase 1, the project is completed. Public Works yard sewer line upgrade. The Public Works sewer line was blocked, and we replaced a line with a new sewer line. Old jail transfer switch replacement. We completed this project in the current fiscal year. Library book locker installation also happened this year. Old jail safety bollard in parking lot. So to secure the parking utility boxes, we added barriers at the parking lot to secure the utility boxes. Additionally, the CIP team assisted with several emergency capital projects throughout the year, such as a jail kitchen floor upgrade, juvenile hall electrical upgrade, and a jail fire alarm system. Currently, approximately 15 CIP projects are being progressed, and I can talk about that in a second. Here are some pictures of the project that are completed. Homeless shelter building exterior improvement. This is it was before with some pavement and concrete, uneven surface, and this is the new one with new patio and shared structure and new concrete. Behavioral health wall, department case management room remodel. We not only built the wall, but also upgraded the electrical and HVAC system. Assessor's tax collector interior exterior improvement. Also installed a fence of the exterior of the building to secure the building. Public Works yard kitchen upgrade, and Veterans Park bathroom remodel. This is the new one, and here are ongoing projects. And before that, any questions so far for the completed projects? Okay, great. So for the ongoing projects, there are about 15 CIP projects that are being progressed and are being requested to be rolled over to the next fiscal year, fiscal year 25-26, along with the new CIP projects. However, due to the current budget challenges, per the board direction, a few of the projects are placed on hold. So courthouse project, per the board direction, this project is placed on hold. Sheriff's Department alternate dispatch site. So for this project, there are 3 main tasks. One is relocation of 5 radio channels, connection of new phone lines, and installation of CAD system. So for radio system, the good news is we are securely transition 4 channels, Claymore's MedNet Law and Public Works from the 4th Street OES building to the Sheriff's Department building at technology location. However, the fire channel requires additional work due to some challenges that need to be addressed before proceeding with this process. At the 4th Street location, each channel has its own separate antenna. In contrast, the technology location operates on a combined system, and prior configuration of the fire channel require further studies. Additionally, the antenna height at the 4th Street location is approximately 50 feet, while the technology location has antennas at about 30 feet. This height difference raises concerns about possibility of poor connection once the fire channel has been relocated. So before we proceed with the fire channel relocation, we have to perform further studies. We are currently working on that and in contact with a designer as well as consultant to perform further studies. What are the possibilities and how we can perform the relocation of this 5th and last channel. Transfer of phone service. Phones are delivered. We are in the process of scheduling meeting to verify the port connections for the phone lines at the new location, technology location. So Sheriff Office currently operate with a voice over internet protocol system, and approximately 30 phones AT&T currently provide. Santa Cruz 911 phone services at the 4th Street location. 911 call goes through 4th Street to Santa Cruz 911. Once the connection for the 6 VoIP that we call Voice over Internet Protocol phones is set, AT&T will transfer 911 calls to Technology Parkway location, which then will get transferred to the Santa Cruz location. Final step to have Verizon operate the new 6 phone lines and transfer 911 calls to the Santa Cruz location. And these 2 tasks, once they will be completed, the CAD system is connected to these 2 tasks. So the installation required for the channels as well as the phone lines. Once that completed, then we will be able to move forward with the CAD system installation. The old jail transfer grinder replacement, which is number 3rd on the list. Trash grinder is being ordered for old jail and thank you. And anticipated to be delivered by the 2nd week of July, and then we can schedule the installation of the trash grinder. So most likely it will be happening in August. Old jail shower flooring and repair. This project is being progressed, and the goal is to improve the showers and convert 3 showers to ADA per the current codes for the old jail. Old jail air handler system replacement. AHU unit has been ordered and is anticipated to arrive in August. Ag department building improvement. So for the ag department, we completed several tasks for the ag building, and currently the electrical upgrades for the ag building is being progressed, and we are anticipating that completed. And next month, we already have the plans. We are currently working on getting quotes for the installation or for the upgrade of the electrical system for the ag department. HEAP transitional housing phase 2. The project is currently waiting for the final hookup and connections. The PG&E offsite work that board approved last month to go with one of the contractor to perform the offsite work. So offsite work for PG&E is to do the trench work, install the conduit, and then PG&E will come and run their wire and final connections and activate the site. So the offsite work is completed and inspected by PG&E, and 95% of the work is already completed, and the rest will be done in a week, and then we can schedule PG&E to come at the site. The current schedule, PG&E schedule for their construction crew to come at the site to do the final connection is about 6 to 8 weeks. So we are currently collaborating with PG&E and have them come on site and do the work. But before that, we have to have that current work, which is offsite PG&E work, be completed. So this is the only hiccup for the project that we are currently facing and and causing the delay on the project. And this is also connected to phase 1. So once the electrical is done from PG&E, phase 1 and phase 2 units will have the power and final connections, and then the project will be done 100%. Library kiosk project, per the board's direction, the project is also placed on hold. Old jail sewer vent pipe replacement. So the old jail has 23 utility chases in sections A and G. utility changes where we have sewer line, plumbing lines, and water line at the old jail. In the current fiscal year, 24-25, we are able to fix 8 chases for Section A, and the remaining chases still require attention. The plumbing is old, and the pipe also experienced damage and leaks. Chapel House remodel project. During the permitting process with the city, we discovered that the house zoning has been changed and requires additional upgrade. We're currently collaborating with the city to explore possible options for completing the project as originally designed. Sheriff's locker for locker room. The lockers are anticipated to be delivered in the next few weeks. Library expansion and remodel. Per the board direction, the project is placed on hold. Chamber seats remodeling, security and audio video upgrade. The contract process for the chamber remodel is being progressed, and this project is also we are actually working on and moving forward with some of the scope already. Historical Park new bathrooms. Per the board direction, the project is also placed on hold. Veterans Park parking lot improvement. The scope includes resurfacing parking lot, striping and lighting. And the last one is Veterans Park picnic area bathrooms remodel. The scope includes roof replacement, ventilation upgrade, and some interior improvements. So, any questions?
Thank you very much. We'll go to public comment, and then we'll bring it back to the board.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press *9 or the raised hand icon. And I have no public comment. Oh, just a second. John, you've been unmuted and you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, John. You have to unmute yourself on your end.
Really trying to talk, I didn't. Anyway, so I just wanted to voice my disappointment in the restroom project at the historical park. As a member of the Historical Society, I think it's really important that this project be completed, and I'm just really curious. It's put on hold, so what does that mean in terms of how long will it be before money will be restored for that project where it can be completed?
Is that all you have, sir? Okay, and that now concludes our public comment.
Thank you very much. We'll bring it back to the board for questions and comments. Just want to start with Supervisor Curro. Anybody else? You just try to start and then go down.
Just trying to get my notes going.
Yeah, you're fine.
Here. So when we have projects on hold, because the speaker, the public comment was exactly where my comment was going. When we have projects because of our budget restraints that are on hold, like the library, like the historical park bathrooms and others, what are we doing to make a game plan for the future? How is staff being directed to look at maybe other options of funding, or, have we haven't made any final decisions. I know we're looking at doing a temporary due pass on Thursday, but how can we, and my other question was, how are we communicating these budget restraints with groups that are on these projects so that they're fully informed? Not everybody watches these board meetings.
Oh, well, thank you, Supervisor Angelo. That's a great question. So for the projects that are fully on hold without any budget or any money, we cannot literally do anything with those projects. But as you mentioned, the recommendation is if we have some money that we can allocate for some investigation or some design phase, so we can, during the budget challenges, we can spend money on the design, get the design ready for the project, and the following year, once we have money available for the project, and we can proceed with the construction. But it would save time, it would save months, it would save years, rather than just putting on hold completely 100%.
And is staff going to be making recommendations, or has this been a conversation? Because I understand we don't have the facilities committee anymore, right? There's no facilities committee. So will that type of presentation be brought back to us as a board for future discussion? And are there items that are facility concerns from staff and from departments that have not been even discussed or brought to the board's attention since we don't have that committee any longer?
Yes, we can bring that presentation if board directs.
I'm assuming I'll have to do a future agenda item for that.
I mean, we can give direction here today to have some level of presentation come back, and I think as we move towards September, when our goal is to have a firmer idea of where our budget's at and giving our CAO time to work with departments on ironing out some of these logistics, but certainly I would be welcome to further presentations as we go along.
I appreciate that, and that's where I was going, is that telling the public and any projects that are put on hold that this is a temporary hold right now until we get our finances kind of understood and under control. And then we really need to be looking back at the long-term projection of projects, which Steve has presented previously, where the needs are, whether it's roofs, HVAC, whether it's sinking buildings. We have all kinds of challenges in this county. So I appreciate the update. I look forward to a future agenda item that is just about kind of, where we are as a whole with facilities, because facilities are something that, unfortunately, it's kind of like the roads conversation that we keep having. If we kick the can down the road, it's going to cost a lot more money in the future. And I'd like us to, as a board, kind of be educated a little more, but at the same time, have a strategic plan of what our short-term, long-term goals could be when it comes to facilities. And I know that's going to take money, but we have a new CAO that maybe could find some revenue sources, which I understand you're very good at, so we could get some revenue sources from other sources besides the general fund and really move forward on that. But thank you so much for the presentation.
Supervisor Velasquez?
Yeah, I just, real quick for me, I'm newer here, but when you say old jail, does that mean this next door, or?
So I believe we should correct our, so this we call old jail.
Old jail.
So,
well, there it is.
Yes.
Old.
Very old.
Okay, got it. I was just curious.
I appreciate it. It's after
I was
the
wondering why
expansion.
there was showers in the old jail.
So after the expansion of the jail, we started calling the old building as old jail, but this is the new building that was built a few years ago is expansion of the jail building.
Okay. Let's just call this one the haunted house. Thank you. That's all I had.
Supervisor Zanger? Supervisor Sotelo?
Thank you. I know the whole jail thing gets a little confusing. I think we should refer to it as the jail because we cannot operate without the jail. And then the other one is the rehabilitation center. We can never, it's not like a new jail happened and you will ever be able to close that old jail. The rehabilitation center cannot operate without the jail. So, anyways, thank you for the presentation and thank you for all of the work that's gone into this. I agree. I really think we need to have, facilities kind of needs to stay kind of at the forefront. I know we've got a lot of budget challenges, but we've got to make sure that we're kind of staying on top of this. I'm curious with the library, on some of these projects, I'm a little concerned that they're on hold, and I get it due to budget constraints, but my concern is that, one, with the library, it's being funded through a grant, and we've got our matching portion. I'm concerned that if we put it on hold for too long, do we run the risk of losing that funding from the state? And then on the others, I just worry that, we kind of made a commitment that we would do these things. I realize our budget position has changed from what it was previously, but I worry that some of these things, putting them on hold, they'll be put on hold indefinitely. When will we ever be able to get back to it? And so I look forward to kind of continuing to kind of work on this, and I would like to make sure, I don't know if it's a, 2 times a year, we review kind of our facilities and capital improvement projects that are in progress and completed. But I do think this is something we should stay on top of. I think there's a lot of deferred maintenance here. One of the things I don't see as, mentioned here, and I know we talked about it with budget, was some of the different roofs that need repair for the different departments. So I appreciate all of the work. I know you guys have been really hard at work on this. I just think we should keep it at the top of all of our priorities. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, thank you. 55 projects, that's a lot of projects. So best wishes on that. That's a lot of work. So thank you for all the time you're putting into that. You know, I think we have to just look at priorities and balance things. Obviously, we know we can't defer too much with buildings and facilities. We have roads, we have essential functions, and that's the challenge that we have up here. But for now, at least, I think it's clear that we're gonna try to give ourselves a little more runway till September, and I don't think there's necessarily an expectation we're canceling these projects, but we just to take a breather and let our new CAO iron things out, working with departments on maybe some alternative options on some of these things. I know just initial discussions with the CAO on some of these, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then if it hasn't, I'm sure it's probably happened, but just having a meeting of the minds on you know, which projects are too far along to stop for now, with staff and CAO's office while we work out this budget, and which of those projects are where we can just take that step back, and I think we've already discussed that. So the chamber seat remodel one, that kind of, again, we got air coming blasting through here. There's a lot of problems that we would love to fix, but is that one where we can pause? Because you mentioned we're moving ahead on that, but the work hasn't started yet. And
The contract is already set in place. The first thing I want to highlight is this project is non-general fund projects, not a general fund.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that pretty much answers it, I think. So yeah, I just think I agree with Supervisor Curro. I know you have additional comments. Just allow the CEO to work with departments on, you know, doing what we can to just be as fiscally responsible, at least until September, coming back when we iron out the budget. Supervisor Curro?
You triggered something about this room, besides the wonderful air that we enjoy so much on this side of the dais. Audio and visual, I know it's part of the correction, or the upgrade. Just so everyone knows, I constantly am getting Zoom complaints about audio, and a lot of it is people are either not talking directly into the mic or it's not enough distance. But is that part of that?
Correct, this is
Okay.
part of this.
Okay, because that would make Zoom people so much happier. So thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Anything further? Anything further from staff? I think broad direction, but good presentation. We'll revisit at the CAO's recommendation when appropriate as we get closer to September. Thank you for the presentation. We will then move on to item 3.5, which is creation of Ag Zoning Committee. Appoint two supervisors to the committee, discuss purpose of committee, appointment of public members, date, time, location, other logistics, and provide direction as desired. So we have R.L. Goodspeed here.
So I'm just here to get direction on forming this committee. My one staff recommendation is that if there are any aspects of the zoning that relate back to general plan policies, that we include a process to bring it back to the ag element pack.
Great. Anything further, R.L.?
No.
Thank you. We'll go to public comment, and then we'll come back for questions and comments from the board.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press *9 or the raised hand icon. And I have no public comment.
Great. We'll come back to the board. Does anyone want to start? Particular? Supervisor Finger? Oh, yeah. They said no public comment.
Sorry. Go ahead, Elia.
So thank you for letting me speak. I think this is a great idea that you all came up with at the last meeting. There was a lot of feedback that you were not aware of, and you started. So thank you for allowing others to have a voice in this. How you're going to decide who's going to be what is going to be not decided today. That is a future meeting. Is that how I understand it? So that you can put out the information, the invite, so that people from different aspects of the different agricultural, cattle, small farmers, large farmers, the ag commissioner, I think would be a good idea to also have. I don't know if that's something you want to consider. Also, real estate individuals as well as also having the assessor available to see how that's going to affect whatever decisions are being made. So I just wanted to put that out there on ideas of who to invite. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other public comment.
Great, thank you very much. We'll bring it back to the board. I think Supervisor Zanger wanted to start.
Sure, yeah. So just in regards to the public comment, what I would think is today is sort of the formal creation and beginning the selection process, not that we would be selecting specific members at this time. And so I would just suggest that we have a group of no more than 7, so 2 supervisors, that's +5, because the intention with this is try to get a smaller, more focused group. So I think 7 would be a good number, personally. Open to any suggestions, though. And as far as representation, I think, of course, we need, somebody involved in of course, the farming industry, the ranching industry. And then I would suggest I would suggest someone from the assessor's office, potentially, if we're going to be, because I know a big concern before was the property tax and the valuations of property. So I think someone from the assessor's office, if that could be possible, would be a good addition to this. Let me see, farming, ranching, assessor's office, perhaps someone from one of our conservation groups that are around. I think they should be involved in the discussion as well, because that's a lot of what we're working on here. I'm not sure exactly times, locations, all that I think can be hashed out, but those are just my initial thoughts on how the committee should be comprised at the moment.
Thank you very much. Who would like to go next? I'll go next if no one wants to. I just would reiterate what we said at the prior meeting. This is obviously an issue. We need to collaborate with multiple stakeholders. We want to address the 5-acre parcels, but also mitigate concerns with property values, property rights. I believe that's the purpose, the goal here, dual purpose. Membership suggestions, I think either 7 or 9 is kind of the sweet spot for these. I think if you go over that, it becomes very cumbersome, and it's hard to get consensus. I agree the majority should be from the ag community. So if you did 7, you do have, I would say 3, and then a land preservation or land trust member, 2 supervisors. Assessor's office would cover the property value, property right issue. I would prefer assessor's office over real estate personally. And then that would just, for me, it would just be whether you want to go with the higher number. If you want to go with the higher number, then you can talk about another 1 or 2 people from one of these entities, whether it's ag or another entity. That's all I have to say. Oh, and as far as, I think going forward, I think we would want to decide on bringing it back as far as formalizing it, and then putting out an application process. And then as far as logistics go, I would just assume that if it's more than 7, we may have to do it. Well, we probably have to do it here either way, right? Because of the committee logistics. So we would just have to do multiple chairs probably at the desk if that's the case. That's all I have. Anyone want to go next? Supervisor Curro?
And Ariel, I'm sorry if you're repeating yourself. How is this, so I can understand, because questions are coming, because all of the groups that have been mentioned are in the ag stakeholder group. So the ag element stakeholder group is going to be going down the path of the ag element, that's it, nothing more.
That group was formed to do the general plan policies. However, all of the stakeholders are on that group. That group is actually a little bit larger. It includes more. We're currently at about 25 people. Potentially some of these zoning code policies may relate back to general plan policies, and so that's where the coordination will need to come into play. We could, utilize that group, or some of those members will be on both. One of the recommendations additionally we might want to think about is when deciding on the 2 supervisors, that you have a supervisor that attends both, just so that there's a conversation maybe back and forth. We could also add an additional supervisor to the ag element public advisory committee as well, just to make sure that the conversation is going both ways.
Yeah, my question is really about the collaboration, because you're gonna have a zoning committee, an ag zoning committee over here talking about these things, an ag element and general plan policy committee over here talking about these things, and how are those gonna be coordinated? Are both gonna be separate and then they bring them to the board, or are they going to collaborate with each other?
Staff is going to have to ensure that the conversations and recommendations happening at one is then brought to the other committee, and vice versa.
Okay, okay. Thank you for all that added work.
And I would just to piggyback really quick, I think this is such a poignant issue. It's such a focused and important issue, as you know, not that the other issues aren't important within it, but this clearly, we saw the community come out on this issue to really get this, you know, all as much as we can, but also to focus the conversation, because we're trying to create policy out of this, and it's really hard to create policy with 25 people in the room. But anything further from Supervisor Sotelo, did you?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that, you know, I definitely think 7 is too small. I think getting more input on something like this is going to be important. So I would definitely go to that 9 number. And I agree with the application process. I agree with it being the majority of it ag. I do think that having the assessor is really important, but I also remember some of the speakers, and there was some real valuable concerns brought up by brokers and realtors, and so I think that there should be a seat on there. It's just making sure that we've considered everything and that there's nothing that's kind of left out or forgotten, and so having more of those things, I think, is better than not enough, and really considering kind of everything. This is a huge potential issue, and I think a lot of people are concerned. So I would just want to make sure that we're addressing kind of all concerns as we look at this. And I think it's going to be a challenge. I think because there is so much overlap with the ag element and this ag zoning. Do we have, is there any kind of a timeline that we're looking at, particularly for either committee?
So staff is working to get back on track and continue to target a draft ag element this fall.
Okay, and
it's
then
a very expeditious process to make that happen, but we're still going to try to work towards getting a public draft by the end of this year.
And so then would this run kind of simultaneously with the ag element stakeholder group and also these meetings kind of at the same time? Or is the focus that you will handle kind of the ag element and general plan issues first, and then this would follow? I'm just thinking, you know, we're asking a lot of volunteer time, right, on both this ag element and the ag zoning. And I know that people want to be a part of the process, and they're very grateful that, you know, they have the opportunity, but it's also a lot if we're running, you know, meetings every single week to potentially have, I mean, they're running their businesses, their operations on top of this. So I want to be mindful that we're getting really kind of focused and really getting the input, and that they're able to put in the time and energy and effort that this is going to require. So I'm a little bit concerned about kind of the timeline, and I just want to understand. So does the board, do you guys have any idea in, you know, is it acceptable to do, does it make sense, Ariel, that you would go with the ag zoning, or not the ag zoning, the ag element stakeholder, do your general plan amendments, and then this would fall in line next, or are they going to be running simultaneously?
My understanding was it was running simultaneously. In planning, it is a good idea to kind of outline your general plan policies so all policies underneath, your zoning code or other ordinances fall in line with those general plan policies. However, we can't do it simultaneously. It's just that coordination, we'll have to make sure that we ensure the coordination is going back and forth so you're not having contradicting policies.
So I would recommend that we focus on getting the ag element general plan amendments done first. Then this ag zoning committee could start in, late fall, early winter and really start to work on that. I just worry that trying to do both of them at the same time is going to be really tough on staff's part, but not only your part, but also you're asking people from, if the majority is ag, they're in the heart of their season from now until the end of, fall. And so it's kind of a lot to ask. And so I think that if we're willing, I think we should maybe set that as well. Give ourselves time to get the application. Doesn't mean we stop working on it, but that we get kind of all of our logistics figured out. Get those applications, get the committee appointed, and do all of that. And then hopefully it will fall in sync right after the ag element and the general plan amendments are completed. So thank you.
Supervisor Velasquez? Yeah, so just got to try to find a consensus here. I hear what you're saying. I also think that there's a will to get this moving and to not necessarily put it off. I believe, for me at least, the zoning, the ag zoning, the 5-acre parcels is a high priority. And I'm concerned that if we not only, have a larger committee, which makes it harder to get work, and it's harder to get those folks who have busy schedules to be able to come, and then we're pushing it off. We're really creating roadblocks for ourselves actually getting it done. I would like to see us as a board really set the tone as far as, let's work together, but let's have an agenda here as far as like, we want to have policy ideas put on the table right away and have, to start parse through, these are 3 to 4 or 5 options we have to solve this issue that we wanted to solve with the 5-acre parcels. And then let's start to just have, some pretty focused discussions on maybe providing 1 or 2 or 3 alternatives to bring back to the board. And I don't think it necessarily has to be a half-year or year-long process. I would like to see there to be a pretty focused vision from this group.
Through the chair?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your comments. And absolutely, we're here to, prioritize the will of the board. Supervisor Sotelo brings up a really good point in regards to the creation of the committee. If it's a zoning committee, that's going to be after the ag element, and we can do either or. But in this particular case, because we are essentially trying to catch up in a good way, and we're almost there, we should have a draft hopefully by this fall. By that time, we should have a really good idea of the goals and policies that have been requested by the board to be implemented in this draft document, and then subsequently having this zoning committee analyze that and work consistently or at the same time. At that point, would be at a staff level a little bit more, would give us a little bit more of a breathing room. But again, if the decision is to run concurrently now, we can make that work. But normally, it is, just in general, the general plan does take precedence. And normally, whenever there's a general plan amendment, or like right now we're going through the update of the housing element, or whenever we do a general plan update, that goes first, and then right soon after that, the zoning part outlining all the details goes second. But again, we're here to respond to the will of the board.
Since you responded to me, I'll just say I understand that, and I'm willing to understand that side and the staff side and compromise. And if we have to wait to start this, then so be it. I just want to make it clear that we want to, move it forward in a, productive manner. That's all. Supervisor Zarin?
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I was going to add, one of the things, though, is we could bring this back with maybe some of the board's policy recommendations that we could work on implementing into the general plan policies.
Yeah, I have a question. So the timeline, you said draft, the ag element draft by fall. Can you be more specific?
So right now, internally, staff is going to try to move mountains and by the either end of September to October, getting a public draft out. We have 2 stakeholder meetings planned in July, another one in August, and then we'll do our last meeting after the release of the public draft.
I understand that's the intention, but you also keep saying it's very ambitious, right? So is it, I mean, are we likely does it seem like we're on track for that, or does it seem like that's going to be a stretch at this point?
That's why we're doing the 2 meetings in July to get back on track. And some of the pieces to get that public draft out, there's tribal consultation that has to happen. So that's one factor that could change the timeline. And then internally, we have to have our review and county council's review of draft documents. So those are a couple of the factors that play a role into that.
So if the ag element draft is completed and put out to the public sometime in October or something, at that point, you're saying after that draft is released, would that then, from a planning perspective, would that be a wise time to start working through the zoning then for this? Or do we have to wait till not just the draft, but the actual like further steps, I guess, further drafts, or completion? Or at what point would you say is appropriate to start hammering out this zoning thing?
I think that timing would be appropriate because at least you would have a baseline of what the policies are looking like. So we could absolutely start this fall.
Okay, I would be okay with that then. I think we should still work on getting it all set though with the members and forming it so that we're ready to rock and roll when the time comes. That would be my suggestion.
Supervisor Curl?
I completely agree, Supervisor Zanger, that we should be getting the applications and setting kind of the calendar so they know when this could flow right into it. And it could maybe piggyback in September so that we're getting close to the ag element kind of proposed draft. And then we go right into the zoning discussion. I just want to make it very clear what the expectations of this committee are when it comes to zoning. Is there going to be a clear direction about what we're asking this committee to do? And is it involving any of the animal zoning that was a conversation from our public comment before, which I'm saying it's not? I just want to make sure that we're giving clear direction about the purpose of this zoning committee and what is it trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I can take my stab at what I would think it's trying to accomplish. Essentially would be specifically, not necessarily the livestock ordinance that we saw, but specifically the 5-acre zoning. And so what I mean by that is the problems associated with having 5-acre zoning in ag productive and the problems that result of farming in that, trying to farm with 5-acre zoning, and how we would work on addressing the zoning in a way that preserves our farmland while addressing the issues that, I guess all the issues that 5-acre zoning in ag productive bring about. So I think
negative impacts, I guess. Right?
Yeah, the negative impacts of the 5-acre zoning in ag productive land. And so to address and mitigate those impacts and preserve the ag productive land for legitimate operational farming, as opposed to with what you get. A lot of 5-acre parcels are not ag productive, essentially. They're ag productive on paper, but they're not actually ag productive in a real sense. So I think that's what we're trying to address.
Go ahead.
I think Supervisor Curl brings up a really good point, and I know it's not part of our discussion today, but I do think that potentially, I understand like being specific with this is ag zoning, but I promise you we're going to have the same issue come up when we start talking about the animal ordinance and the livestock changes. And so we could get ahead of that right now and start, I think the same thing is going to happen, and we're going to have to, we need the public's input on this. We need the people that are in this industry to help us kind of figure out some of these issues. And so I think we should be somewhat proactive in that. So I appreciate Supervisor Curl saying that. The other thing I want to bring up, when we consider, I'm trying to think about like, okay, you know, okay, people are going to put in an application, but how do you know that the people that, you know, especially when we do like kind of small, if you have it at 7 or even at 9, it's not a huge group when you consider, okay, well, 2 are supervisors, you've got, you know, 1 from the assessors. How do we make sure that the people that are being appointed on that committee are kind of representative of the community that they're kind of speaking for? And so maybe one of the things that we need to think about, there are multiple organizations here. You've got the Ag Land Trust, that's, you know, that's an organization, so making sure that you have somebody that's dealing with conservation. The Ag Land Trust would select their appointment for sitting on this kind of committee. Same thing with some of the different ag organizations. You've got cattlemen, you've got cattlewomen, you've got Farm Bureau. There are multiple, and so then when they sit there and they provide the feedback, et cetera, they're also going back and communicating with all of their membership and you know, hopefully surveying their members and really kind of getting that collective voice, because we want to make sure that we're really capturing the kind of that collective voice and really trying to come up with a policy that is reflective and works for kind of our community. And so I just would ask that consideration, we don't have to decide it today, but I do think that at least figuring out what organizations, but we may want to consider that to make sure that we're getting even more feedback. Because if we're dealing with an individual, they're not really out surveying, but if you're dealing with organizations, they can survey their membership. So just a thought. Thank you.
Additionally, staff, as part of the ag element, has gone and done presentations to like the Farm Bureau throughout this process to give them updates. And so we can continue that process as well.
And I think that's been a discussion point. The only issue is choosing which groups, if you're gonna go that route. I think the other option is to just put in the rules that we'll give preference or weight to those who would be representatives of specific agricultural groups, because I just don't know which groups you're gonna pick, because there's cattlewomen, cattlemen, there's Farm Bureau, there's grower shipper. So I would just say maybe give preference to representatives of ag groups. And then, was there anything, the issue with the animal ordinance came up, and I think there's a lot of misconceptions. I think we're walking the line here a little bit. There's a lot, but I think it's potentially relevant. There are a lot of misconceptions about what the purpose is of this, and the purpose is not to take anyone's animals away. That's number one. So it's really just, there's some complications there, but that needs to be simplified. I think we all know that, so that we're protecting the rights of farmers who are crop growers and having the ability to actually grow their crops without the cropland being taken away, but also protecting the rights of livestock owners who have existing livestock or historical precedent of using livestock on certain land. Do we want to include those all in the same committee? Or is that unproductive to give 2 tasks to this one committee? Because I'll be frank, Supervisor Zanger and I have talked about, do we want to do a whole separate ad hoc or whatever it is for the animal ordinance, because we need stakeholders involved with that as well. We don't want to just come back again with a draft of something and then have all these groups tell us this X, Y, and Z needs to be fixed. It's better to have stakeholders involved in the process. So that, just throwing that out there, it would be a lot, but I think if we were going to do a separate group anyway, it might be just worth it to just do it all in one group.
Through the chair, one option is that you include it all, but you have a priority. First, you address the 5 acre and then get into the animal.
Mr. Chair, if I can add, where I was going with it is the focus is the zoning. That's the priority. But they need to be able to talk about the animal issue. They overlap each other. And there's some recommendations that started to come out from the ag stakeholder group about, sometimes it's a good neighbor thing. Sometimes it's a conversation and a good neighbor thing. And then you talk about existing animals. You're not asking anyone to get rid of animals. We're talking about future property owners that could have 5 acre parcels that don't have animals. So if we could add that conversation to this committee so that they can have that included in there, like as a subsection.
Yeah, and the goal is really, just to put it in lay terms, is if there's existing cropland, you want to come in and put a hobby farm up, basically, that the onus is going to be on you to create the setback if you want to come in and do that. And that's just in simple terms, that's the goal of what we're trying to do. It's not to try to we're not taking anybody's animals away. I just want to be very clear about that. Supervisor Zanger or Sotelo?
I'd be fine with including it, as sort of a secondary, aspect of the zoning.
Okay.
Instead of a separate.
So membership-wise, do we want to go 7 or 9? And there's a difference of opinion on that.
I said my 7, but I'm not married to it. If the board wants to do 9, it's not going to kill me.
Any further?
I would say if we're asking the assessor to be on it, I'd go to the 9. But if the assessor is just kind of like a guest that comes and talks to us, or talks to the committee, not us, but talks to the committee, whomever's on it, then maybe it could be 7.
Well, staff is, I mean, to me, assessor is an extension of staff, and so.
So if it's 3 from ag, 1 from land trust or local preservation, 2 supervisors, is that 7, right? 3, 1, 2, yeah. Or 6, no, that's 6. So we need.
Real estate
then
community.
There's the question of real estate.
Yeah, that's, and I really. Yeah.
Sorry, just do as a public member at large, and then
Member at
whoever,
large.
that,
Yeah,
if it's somebody
sure,
in real
that's
estate,
great.
whatever it is.
Okay, so 3 ag, 1 public member at large, 2 supervisors, and 1 preservation group.
I really think we should go to 9. And the only reason I say that is because I feel like you're going to have your organization representation. It leaves a few seats open for kind of individual, you've got a couple of just public kind of members. I feel like we want to be as inclusive as we can. And here's the other thing. Let's say, you have meetings, somebody can't come, well, all of a sudden you have 1 or 2 people that can't come. You're missing almost half of, so I just feel like in that case, your goal number will probably be at 7, but if you have 9 committee members, you're probably at most meetings, you'll have 7 there.
All right. I will agree with that. 5 ag at large, 1 local preservation, 1 public at large, 2 supervisors. 9 total that have 2 tasks to provide policy recommendations with regard to 5-acre zoning and to provide policy recommendation on the animal ordinance matter. Yes.
I'm just wondering, because we're going to the 9, can we go over those numbers again? So we've got how many so you've got your 2 supervisors, your 1 from conservation, 3 with ag organization?
5 for ag.
5.
And 1 public at large, so that
One
could
public
include.
at large.
And one of the ag could be a real estate. I mean, there's certain ag people that we're well aware of that are also in real estate, so.
Okay, I'm just wondering if does it feel more inclusive to make sure that we have one kind of, the realtors are going to be kind of your experts in kind of the real estate, broker, et cetera. Is that an important voice that we should make sure if we're at 9 that we have a seat for?
Is there any comments, any preferences, any strong feelings? Supervisor Velasquez, Curro? You know what, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with real estate if there's a strong desire from supervisors to tell us I'm not hearing a strong desire. And so you would have 4 ag, 1 real estate, 1 local land preservation, 1, so wait, would we not do public at large then? What's the preference? To have real estate replace the public at large and have 5 ag? So 5 ag, 1 preservation, 1 real estate, and 2 supervisors.
Okay.
Okay?
That works.
9 total, 2 goals.
With the primary goal being zoning.
Yes.
Yep.
And so, just to clarify, will we be selecting the supervisors for this when we get the applications back with all the
Yeah, and everyone
members?
can make their, desires known. Okay, anything further? Do we need a motion on that, or is the direction clear enough, County Council? To form a committee made up of 9 members, to bring back, to bring back an item to formalize the committee makeup.
Yeah, that's a consensus and direction of
goals,
staff.
so that we just come back at a future date.
Do we need to identify who the supervisors are that will be sitting on that, or no?
I haven't put any thought into that personally,
Okay.
so I think that's something we'll want to weigh and,
Okay, all right, perfect, thank you.
Through the chair, when we come back, would you like staff to work with the clerk about potential meeting days and times as well?
Yes, please. And then we had one other secondary item related to this, which was, I know Vanessa's waiting for this. It's just to talk about whether there is another committee that we wanted to potentially bring back for elimination to alleviate this, that we're adding another committee meeting for staff time. So I think maybe we just add that to the discussion.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts. I don't know if we want to share those today or not.
Staff can work with the clerk as well. Besides the board clerk, we actually, in planning and building, have 3 employees, including myself, who are trained at clerking, so we can also assist. And
You're also very busy with planning and all these other things, but yes,
we're a team.
Appreciate that, Ariel. Anything further? So that would come back as well as another direction point here, this item. I think we're okay. We did public comment, I believe. So that would take us to our next item, which is 3.6, which is creation of animal shelter ad hoc, appoint 2 board members and provide staff direction as desired. And I don't know if there's an actual presentation for this item, but we would go to public comment and then we'll come back for discussion and direction.
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press *9 or the raised hand icon. And in chambers, Elia?
So it would be nice to have more information on this, because my biggest question on this ad hoc, and I know because we had, the county had some issues last month with regards to not enough communication back and forth with it. So this ad hoc committee is also going to, I'm hoping, work with the city as well, because they're the ones who operate it. So you're going to create an ad hoc and you're going to go to the city and you're going to ask for city members to also sit on this committee? Because it's not,
I can't answer you directly, but we'll get into the discussion.
well, you could actually, but because it's not, there's no presentation. There's nothing on that, so.
I have no further public comment.
Thank you very much. We'll bring it back to the board for discussion direction. And from my end, I think the goal here is, I think we have to start looking at trying to resolve issues as partners in a collaborative way with the city, whether it's issues with the city and the county. And I think there's concerns about, from the public about animal shelter. And the goal is to do it in a way that's collaborative and engage with the community and to address those concerns. And we had some concerns come up, with the homeless encampment removal. I think there's just broader concerns. So it's really just to have the 2 sides work through those concerns. And that's really the goal, is to engage and invite the city of Hollister to come to the table and to invite, if there's a will, other interested stakeholders such as local nonprofit groups that have concerns and any of their community members that would like to provide input. So that really is the purpose of this. The ad hoc would have the ability to invite nonprofit members and others that have expressed concerns without necessarily creating another committee, because we know that that's challenging. Anything further?
My only question is, when a city has an ad hoc of 2 members and the county creates an ad hoc of 2 members, do we have to collaborate between the 2 to be able to coordinate those together? Or is there a legality of those not being able to meet at the same time? I don't know the rules on joint ad hocs.
No, I think as the chairman recognizes, if you create a committee with the city members on it or community members on it, you're creating
Not
the
a
Brown Act committee.
Yeah, I'm not talking about a committee, I'm talking about an ad hoc.
Right.
They already have 2 members.
The ad hoc is county standalone.
Standalone with, so not meeting with the city.
They
ad
can meet
hoc.
with the city as part of their ad hoc duty.
Okay, so I'm talking about 2 members of a city ad hoc, 2 members of a county ad hoc. Being able to meet together does not break any rules.
No.
Okay, just wanted to make that public, because there's always perception and talk.
Any other questions, comments?
No, thank you for pointing that out, because it's, ad hocs are formed, so it helps speed the process. We all know what happens. You have a committee, you have this meeting. It's very formal. A lot of people have to attend. Ad hocs help speed the process. So thank you for bringing that up, because right away, those that don't agree with them are going to say, oh, lack of transparency. Come on, everyone, please. We got a lot of work to do, and I think the city, I've heard, would like to look at something like this. I'm sure they're more than willing to meet with us. So thank you for bringing that up.
Mr. Chair, I also want to add that the whole point of the ad hoc is to bring back recommendations that have been collaborative between the city and the county so that this body can make a decision and that body can make a decision. So it's not that it's going to have a closed door behind the scenes negotiation. It's really to hear the concerns. And after attending the first meeting with the city ad hoc, the nonprofits have some real concerns when it comes to our animal shelter. And I think that's going to be very productive in an ad hoc format. So thank you.
Anything further? Supervisor Zinger?
No, I'm not really. I was just gonna, I know as far as members go, I believe Supervisor Kuros kind of was already involved. So I would obviously suggest Supervisor Kuro as one of the members, and I'm pretty indifferent as far as who else is on it.
I asked Supervisor Sotelo if you do have interest. I certainly would have an open door to you being involved. If you don't, then we can certainly choose someone else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do it. I just, we kind of addressed some of the concerns last time. And so if there's a commitment from this board that our recommendations will be considered seriously, then I would happily sit on there. I just want to make sure that there's kind of the respect and
I think you'd be great for the committee. So I would just entertain a motion to appoint Supervisors Curro and Sotelo to an ad hoc to work with the City of Hollister on addressing and inviting nonprofit groups into the conversation and other interested community members to resolve issues concerning the animal shelter. Is there a motion?
Yeah, moved as stated.
There's a first. Is there a second?
I'll second.
If you have a first and a second, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Kuzmicki?
Yes.
Supervisor Zinger?
Yes.
Supervisor Sotelo?
Yes.
Supervisor Curro?
Yes.
Supervisor Velasquez?
Yes.
5-0 vote, motion passes.
Thank you very much. That would take us to item 3.7, which is receive and discuss updates from committees and ad hocs and provide staff direction if desired. So this is our quarterly updates that we provide, maybe perhaps a little more detail on committee updates. So who would like to begin? Supervisor Curro?
I'll begin, but I will admit I'm apologizing in advance because this weekend got a little out of hand. The wedding attendance became a wedding coordinator, and it kind of threw me for a loop. So when it comes to 3CE, I have, and we're only doing committees, not ad hocs, correct?
It's committees and ad hocs.
And ad hocs, okay. So 3CE, this is formerly the Monterey Bay Community Powers, and I know the chair knows all about this. I have updated packets that we just received from each for each of the members, and they gave me enough for all of you. So instead of going through all the packet, I'm going to hand it to you and give you the update because they do a beautiful brochure, which I have to tell you, it's amazing that the 3CE is basically where our power is, not our infrastructure, but our power making decisions. We did have to do an increase in rates, and I believe that's effective July 1 if it hasn't already gone into effect. Those rate increases are because of the increase in supply, the supply chain increases, and we're hoping that will maintain all the funding for all the future projects that they have going forward. When it comes to AMBEG, I'm going to defer to Supervisor Sotelo, if that's okay. When it comes to Area on Aging, Supervisor Sotelo can add to this. The big focus for us has been on the RFP for the senior services, which included transportations and meals. It is looking like Hoviness and Martha's Kitchen and COG are all coming together and working together to come out of the same facility, which is our community center, the city community center. And I will say we will have to be having a conversation more with the city because they're trying to charge rent, which right now they're not charging rent. So that will be a topic that will be coming forward for conversation that I believe we'll have more to report on at a later date. When it comes to, I'm just going through the list real quick. When it comes to Behavioral Health Board, You guys have seen a lot of the presentations have been done by our director, Dana, and the mobile crisis unit is up and running. We did today approve additional contracts. I do want to make note, the staff are working very closely with our local providers, but they are not able to handle everything, but local providers are being worked with directly. So the contract work that's out of the county is also to fulfill the legal requirements for whether it's beds or transportation or whatever it may be. But local providers are still being actively engaged. And we've had some really great conversations with the community about communication and collaboration between community needs and what behavioral health does. And I think the Behavioral Health Board is working really hard on building that communication with the public. Where it was, behavioral health was years ago to where it is now, I just have to say we are moving forward in a very positive, positive way for our community and our residents. CSAC, I don't have anything really big to update because I've been forwarding all of the budget updates. The biggest conversation has been on budget, and I've been forwarding it to the new CAO and to our budget officer, and I've been sending stuff also to staff. We did have some legislation that we wanted to support and oppose, and all of that has already been brought forward to the board. So I don't have anything really big to update on that. When it comes to the Emergency Medical Care Commission, we have not met since my last update. When it comes to, I'll do Supervisor Sotelo, I'll defer to her on first five. Integrated Waste Management Regional Agency Local Task Force. Who came up with the title of that committee? It's just ridiculous. We call it the Local Task Force, but nobody knows what that means. The good thing is there are three of us. There's one from each city and myself. We did adopt the proposed budget. We sent it to all of the jurisdictions. The one thing we are working on is transparency of the budget through the ERP system and reporting so that it is it's not a worked Excel where staff is working data to be able to present to us. And we're coming up with a report that will come directly out of the ERP system that will be available for the public, which I think is going to be a nice change. The other thing is with Councilmember Dolores Morales's comments from the dais. She is really into stats and how many people are we impacting. I will tell you, San Juan Bautista is the best when it comes to recycling, trash, any of the numbers. San Juan Bautista is like at the top of the list. Hollister, you're right up there. Unincorporated area, we have a lot of, education and work to do. So that's going to be something else. We're working on the stats of being able to show that we are educating more people and we're getting more people recycling and using compost. And more businesses, so more business outreach. Let's see. I'm going to give juvenile justice to Supervisor Sotelo. That one's not done. Sorry. I think, when it comes to mobility partnership, which I believe I was added to mobility partnership from the board as opposed from COG. Mobility partnership, I do know there's a community event coming up. I'm sorry, I just got the notice on my phone yesterday about this. And I will post on Facebook and share with the board about this event. It is State Route 25 Safety Improvement. It's on Tuesday, June 24th. It's today at 3:30 to 5 at the Community Foundation. And it is all about the 101, 25, I believe the 101 and 25, and then also conversations about the route of 25. But I'll let the COG members add more to that. The Public Defender's Oversight, we have kind of taken a little step back and we're kind of reassessing I'm going to let Supervisor Sotelo, she is chair, but we've kind of reassessed. I had to step out of that last meeting, so I'll let her give a little more of an update. Remote Access Network Committee. Okay, I at least now know what this committee is. The sheriff is required to have this committee. We have not met yet. I am reaching out again to find out when and what we need to do on this committee. Not really sure, but I do want to point out on our website, when you are at San Benito committees, I just want to remind the board that there is a committee that none of us are on that is called Communications User Technical Advisory Committee. This is Communication Users Technical Advisory Committee. This committee, my understanding, was formed to deal with our communications across all of the city communications, public works communications, the school communications, the network that we keep trying to get moving forward so our sheriff's deputies are safe. That may be a committee that we want to make sure we are seeing that it's meeting and that it's moving forward with the project. So just a thought. My last one is the remote access, which I don't have anything to update. And my last one is Vets Park Commission. I have not met yet. Supervisor Sotelo has, so I'll leave that to her. On ad hocs, I will say the IT ad hoc did meet with IT staff, and I thank the board for not cutting the IT increased budget. We do have some severe infrastructure issues that we are addressing with that funding, and we will be meeting with the new CAO to bring her completely up to speed on what our recommendations from IT are. The affordable housing ad hoc, we're setting up a meeting. Staff has already reached out to us. I basically apologize for not reaching out sooner. Just send me a calendar invite and I'll make it work. And I believe Supervisor Velasquez and I are going to meet in advance of bringing any of the nonprofits on. And we already talked about the egg stakeholder group. I don't need to do any update on that. And we could bring forward to remove the fire department ad hoc since we adopted the contract. So that may be something that the chair may want to bring forward. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Velasquez?
Dang, that's a lot of information.
Well, you guys want an update, right? That's why I don't say anything.
It's great.
That's why I don't say anything in the meetings
I like
anymore.
that you brought up so much good information, and thank you for bringing up the 25 safety improvements. That is actually the work between District 4 and District 5. Those improvements, most of it is in the Santa Clara side from the 101. And so that meeting, you said what time tonight?
It's at 3:30 to 5, and it's at the Epic Center,
So
is my understanding.
that is a very important meeting because we all know there's gaps on that corridor there that people seem to keep wanting to pass others using the opposite lanes. And it's horrible how many tragedies we've had there. So as far as COG, we have been working on 25. 25 has been the biggest thing we all know has to be addressed. There's been issues because, if you haven't heard, the state had changed the rules so that our $240 million project became an $800 million project. And we're looking at how we could still move forward on the project, but within reality. We do not have additional funds to pay for an $800 million project. So what we're looking at is, can we work using the existing alignment? Will the state allow that? And different options. So there's a lot of work to still have to, or conversations with Caltrans. We'll be meeting with them soon to have some of these other options analyzed so we can try to keep moving forward on the project. The state is still working, hopefully, to change that rule so that we don't have that issue. But reality is, once those rules go into place, state usually doesn't change their minds very often. We're also working on traffic fees, impact fees, so that should be going to the cities and to us so we can look at the numbers and raise them to the levels they should be to help us cover the costs of a lot of these improvements. That's all I have.
Great, thank you very much. And I'll go ahead and go in line here. LAFCO, we're working on finalizing the municipal services reviews that have been on the table for a while. We just are making some adjustments to that. And finalize policies for city and county development agreements. So I think that's something we'll probably be dealing with soon. And then I think a lot's been said about COG and transportation already. I would encourage people to, take a look at that. June 24th, I believe is what it was, at 3:30 at the Epicenter. So June 24th today, 3:30, the Epicenter. This safety initiative is very, very important, and just encourage that we seem to have a lot of momentum going all the way from the state on down to get some more safety mechanisms in place there. And also at the COG level, we're just kind of looking at, as Supervisor Velasquez mentioned, we're not stopping anything. The environmental work is still going forward with the Highway 25 expansion. It's just basically to put all the options back on the table to see if there's a more realistic route potential in the event that we just can't afford this $800 million 4-lane expansion, and to try to minimize the impact on prime farmland as well. So I fully expect that that's going to move forward expediently. It's just a matter of just taking a step back while the environmental work is going on, so that we can try to find a more realistic option forward. Highway 156, we're continuing to give feedback to Caltrans about the expansion project, and what probably was a premature ribbon cutting. You're still continuing to get a lot of people that are concerned about, why are we still seeing delays? And so there are punch list items that Tykert and Caltrans are working through. And at the COG level, we really urged Caltrans to provide more regular updates on what those piecemeal delays might look like, so that we can get that information out to the public, so you're not surprised in the morning or the afternoon when you just suddenly get stuck in traffic for 30 or 40 minutes when you weren't expecting it. And then just more broadly speaking, from a transit perspective, we're just looking at ways to more efficiently use transit funds. And just a little thing that I've put out there, not a little thing, is I think from the COG perspective, the federal level, the county level, to start to, as one of those other priorities, to look at outside monies to pursue some sort of transit option for to and from Pinnacles National Park. Because of the severe lack of parking at Pinnacles, I've suggested having conversations with the Ag District to see if there's a willingness to potentially use the vacant Bellato Park Golf Course facility and see if we can do something there. And we would have to still get outside funding of some kind, but to see if there's an option there for a park and ride for Pinnacles. Tourism, we have new members from Spirit of San Juan, the wineries. We're developing, Supervisor Zanger probably will have more. We're looking at refining a hotel incentive program to be bringing forward to the county hopefully soon. Monterey Air Resources District, there's a variety of grant programs available. I won't go through all of them, but if you go to the Monterey Air Resources District website, you can find opportunities, everything from vehicle emission grant reduction, diesel engine replacement, EV incentive program, wood stove changeout, zero emission school bus, and landscape equipment exchange program to try to, pay for some of those. We're getting off of the gas powered landscape equipment. And then lastly, Curriculum of Care Leadership Council dealing with homelessness on a regional level. I believe it's later this week, we're considering emergency funding to help the San Miguel County Homeless Shelter with its operational costs. And that's all I have. Thank you. Supervisor Zanger?
Yep. Thank you. Right off the bat, just regarding the Communications Committee comment, is that still, I don't know if the clerk knows, is that still an active committee, or is it just a website issue that it's showing that? I thought it was dissolved, but I'm not sure.
That was a separate committee. That was a committee that had board members. This is a committee that does not have board members on it, that's through the sheriff. And so I'd like to just get a little more clarification on that, since we have a communications issue.
Yeah, it'd be great to know what's going on with that one. If
We
it's
can provide
happening or not.
information.
Great. Okay. Audit committee, no real updates that the board hasn't heard. As the auditor had mentioned to us, the new external auditor received all the relevant information and documents, is working on the process of the audit. CCP, I would say no updates at this time relevant. There's been some budgetary decisions, minor budgetary decisions as far as funding. Refunding certain programs is basically all that's happened. Intergovernmental committee, Discussion has pretty much revolved around the homeless encampment cleaning efforts. And I'll just say that it's pretty clear in that committee that all three agencies are willing and been working to address the encampments respectively. LAFCO, Supervisor Kosmicki touched on. Tourism Committee, the hotel incentive program is what we're working on right now. Plan is to bring it back very soon for there's been an ad hoc created to work on that hotel incentive program. So we're going to bring it back to Tourism Committee, then the Board of Supervisors for adoption, hopefully after that. Governance, they're working on, the Water Board District is working on ADROP. I don't remember the acronym perfectly. It's something like Accelerated Drought Resistance Program, something like this. It's a $55 million project that essentially serves as insurance for dry years. So working on just increasing water capacity that we can take from when we need it. They're moving along with that. And it is 35% grant funded, I believe was the number, which is very good. Let me see, housing policy ad hoc. Working through the long list of items that the board pushed to the housing ad hoc includes exploring higher affordable housing percentage requirements, local tenant preferences, flood and fire awareness and prevention, addressing the elimination of solely single-family zoning for projects, and more. The Planning Commission has seen a lot of those items already and is working through them with a plan to, I believe, bring them back to Planning Commission in August, a lot of them, and then pending their decision, the board will hear those items after that at some point. That's it.
Supervisor Sotelo?
Thank you. The first update that I'll give will be for AMBAG. So REAP 2.0, they're kind of completing it, which REAP stands for Regional Early Action Planning Grants. There was some competitive grant, awards with that, but there also was money for every single jurisdiction. San Benito County, our allocation of that was $79,985. The Paul Hireling with AMBAG will be reaching out in probably July to staff, reaching out to all of the jurisdictions to discuss plans to use the money if they're still unspent. Currently, San Benito, we have not spent our funds, but if we don't have a plan to spend the money by March 31st of 2026, AMBAG is going to deallocate and give it to another jurisdiction, because there has been jurisdictions within AMBAG that have had a lot of success with moving forward plans and projects, and so they don't want to have to give the money back to the state, and so but if we're not able to use it, and just as a note, the money must be spent, not just allocated by 3/31. So probably some of those conversations will, if he hasn't reached out already to staff, they will. The purpose of the whole REAP 2.0 was to accelerate affordable housing production, implement sixth cycle housing elements, and advance regional sustainable community goals. So hopefully, kind of with that, maybe there's something that we can use that money for. I'd hate to kind of lose it, but we've got a tight turnaround on that. Staying in line with kind of the affordable housing and housing kind of issues, I'll move into behavioral health. So behavioral health, they're going to be transitioning from the Mental Health Services Act to the Behavioral Health Services Act. And so it kind of broadens the responsibilities of our county behavioral health. And it intentionally includes providing housing interventions. And so some of the new components and budget allocations, and this is all really new. Our staff is really kind of working through things, but I want to give this announcement here because it was kind of eye-opening at our last board meeting talking about some of these things. So there'll be about a 5% reduction in the total amount received in this new kind of change. But now there are specific allocations and funding pots of where things are going to fall. And 30% of that budget is now going to go to housing intervention. And so I think it's something that we need to be aware of and we need to start working towards, because half of it has to be spent on chronically homeless and then providing stable housing for those with behavioral health needs. And so again, as you know, for the kind of our affordable housing ad hoc, just please reach out to behavioral health and make sure that we're working on this kind of so that we don't miss opportunities in this, because 30% of that budget is going to have to be spent on housing intervention. There are some exceptions, and I won't go into all of that, but, and then 35% will go into full service partnerships, you know, reaching those with the most complex needs, and then 35% will go to behavioral health services and supports. Have to be spent on early intervention, mental health and substance use programs, and then half of the early intervention portion is to be spent on those that are younger than 25 years old, and then the remaining is to cover all other programs and services. So behavioral health is going through some huge transitions right now. It's effective, this new kind of structure is effective July 1 of 2026. So we have a little bit of time, but there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done. So even as we are discussing potentially selling the 11 RVs, I don't know, you know, I just think there's a lot of conversation that needs to happen. So I just wanted this board to know that there are some big changes coming for behavioral health and some of those pots of money. Public defender oversight. Currently, we have over 1,000 cases, current caseload for our public defenders. We still have a really large caseload for public defenders. One of the desires was with our new committee members, reviewing the Office of State Public Defender, their report. So that's going to be something that we're going to be doing in the very near future. First Five, they have hired a new executive director. She's supposed to start, well, she or he, I don't know who it is. They are supposed to start the middle of July, and our next board meeting will be August 6th. The Vets Park Commission has spent a lot of time. Actually, we've had great engagement. We're starting to have all of the sport leagues are starting to attend the meeting, which is amazing. And so we're getting a lot of collaboration with that commission. A lot of time has been spent on bathroom upgrades and kind of the logistics around that. And obviously the lighting projects and the pavement and all of those things has been a huge, you know, point with that committee. There was talk at the last meeting, they were regarding the fireworks show, which is irrelevant at this point because that's not happening anymore, but there was discussion around that. Pajaro River Watershed Flood Prevention Authority, we've approved the budget. There hasn't been a whole lot beyond that, but we have approved the budget moving forward. RCRC, unfortunately, we had a special board meeting, our last board meeting, and I wasn't able to attend, and then there's another board meeting this week, and I will not be able to attend because it is the county of the chair, which is up in Modoc County, and we have our special board meeting, our budget hearing, so I will not be able to attend. Let's see, what else do I have? I think that's those are kind of pretty much the big ones, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have public comment?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press star 9 or the raised hand icon. I have no public comment.
Thank you, everybody, for those comments. What I took, a few things was removing the fire department ad hoc, bringing that back to remove that, consulting with the sheriff about communications matter, and I know there's a lot, but just a few I took note of was affordable housing ad hoc, take Supervisor Sotelo urging into consideration regarding funding and behavioral health. So other than that, if there's anything further, hearing none, we can move on to our final item, which is 4.1, which is future agenda items. Discuss and approve future agenda item requests submitted and provide staff direction. We don't have any future agenda items on the list. Does anybody have any questions? Well, first I'll go to, do we have any public comment on future agenda items?
If you'd like to make a comment in chambers, please provide a speaker card. On Zoom, please press star 9 or the raised hand icon. And I have no public comment.
And does anybody have any questions or comments on the list? Hearing none, that takes us to the end of our meeting, and we are adjourned.
Thank you. And
you.